Recording in progress.
Okay. 2 seconds after 6 o'clock, so I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Planning Commission. Can we start with a roll call?
Sure. Chairman Harper.
Yes.
Vice Chair Rose.
He's gone, I'm sorry.
Now he's officially.
It's on the record.
Commissioner Vaughn.
Present.
Commissioner Witt.
Here.
Commissioner Barnes.
Present.
Commissioner Gordon.
Present.
Commissioner Mojo, sorry.
Present.
Commissioner Gross.
Here.
Commissioner Shanahan.
Here.
Okay, that's that. So the next item is public comments on the consent agenda, presentations and non-agenda items. We'll have a public hearing on the comprehensive plan that people can comment on when we get to that item. Is there anybody who'd like to comment on anything other than the comprehensive plan?
Is your microphone on?
Oh, I wondered why I sounded kind of quiet. I'm still not on. Okay, doing better. High-tech stuff, this. Yes, public comment on the consent agenda, presentations or non-agenda items. Is there anybody who'd like to comment on something other than the comprehensive plan? Seeing none, I'll try. We have one person on Zoom. Sir or ma'am, the person on Zoom, would you like to comment on anything that's not the comprehensive plan? Actually, your hand isn't raised, so I'm going to assume the answer to that is no. Okay, we're not approving any minutes tonight, so we'll skip over that. New business. First item we have to take care of is to vote for a chair and vice chair. I guess I could open that discussion by saying, would anybody like me to continue?
Yes?
Yes. Sure. Yes.
Would anybody else like to be chairman? Okay.
You set a high bar.
Thank you for this vote of confidence. I'll continue.
You have to vote for it, though.
We have to vote for it? Okay. Actually,
All right.
roll call.
I will take your votes. Chairman Harper.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Rose.
No, of course not.
Oh, sorry. I keep doing that. My bad. Commissioner Vaughn.
Yes.
Commissioner Witt.
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes.
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon.
Yes.
Commissioner Mojo.
Yes.
Commissioner Gross.
Yes.
Commissioner Shanahan.
Yes.
Well, thank you all. I will try to live down to your expectations. The next item then is the election of a vice chair, since Lonnie is no longer with us. True, in Superior. Is anybody anxious to, or would anybody like to volunteer for this role, or should I nominate someone, or does anybody else wish to? Anne indicated that you might wish to nominate someone.
I was going to suggest Ryan.
You were going to suggest Ryan?
Is anybody else interested in vice chair?
I'll vote for Ryan.
Yeah.
Everyone backs it.
I know, yeah.
Oh, darn, this isn't working.
Yeah. Well, I would like to nominate Ryan Mojo for vice chair.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? I was actually thinking of nominating Mike, but I don't.
I would defer to Ryan.
You sure?
Positive.
Okay. Fine. In that case, we had better have it's not that I have any objection to having you as vice chair. I think that's perfectly fine. I guess we need a roll call on that too.
Well, do Ryan want to do it?
Oh, I guess that's a good question. Should we-
I did not back away from the dais, I guess. No, I joined the commission to try to be a part of our town and, lend a helping hand where I can and volunteer where I can. If vice chair helps me to do that even further, I'm happy to take it on. And I appreciate you putting my name in the hat. So thank you. Appreciate it.
I think we can probably take a roll call now.
All right, Chairman Harper,
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn,
Yes.
Commissioner Witt,
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner Mojo,
Abstain?
Commissioner Gross,
Yes.
Commissioner Shanahan.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Congratulations.
I-
Or condolences.
Condolences.
Both of you.
I look forward to serving with you, Chairman Harper. Thank you.
Okay. The next item is, you know what? Is a public hearing on the comprehensive plan update approval. I guess, is there proof of publication?
Yes. Sorry.
Yes.
Okay. So I can open a,
Did you guys do minutes?
what do I want to do first? There's
minutes.
proof, yes.
Oh,
Does
my
staff
my
have
bad.
a-
I shouldn't have brought it up.
Sorry? Does staff have looks like you have a presentation. Okay, would you like to make your presentation?
Good evening, Chairman Harper and Commissioners. My name is Renee Stavros. I'm the Planning and Building Director for the town. I'm going to present the changes from the last Planning Commission hearing on the comprehensive plan update. The purpose of this evening's meeting is to hopefully garner a recommendation to council regarding the comprehensive plan update. So, oh, that button doesn't work. That also doesn't work. Oh, okay. I guess we'll just do it this way. Just to do a quick recap on the comprehensive plan purpose. It's a policy guide for managing growth and development, public investment for the next 10 to 15, hopefully less than 15 years. It's to help inform decision-making by council and you all, staff and community partners. And it hopefully helps helps you all respond to changing conditions, community priorities, and set new opportunities and challenges throughout the town. So this slide talks about plan inputs, guidance, and implementation tools. The inputs are best management practices from research, the existing conditions report that we completed at the end of 2024, existing plans and studies that the town has, and then community input that we received through surveys, open houses, pop-up stakeholder events, interviews, online activities, and the speaker series. And then the guidance is our vision, goals, and strategies in the plan. And then the hope is for the future land use map categories and opportunity areas to provide insight on decision-making, the implementation metrics with the goals and actions will help inform regulatory updates. So our outreach process started in the summer of 2024. We opened the website on Shape Superior for the comprehensive plan. We went to Chili Fest in 2024 and the Fall Festival. We did a community survey then. We went out to businesses and went door to door and conducted surveys of business owners and managers. We did a renter survey because they were underrepresented in our initial community survey. We reached out to stakeholder groups in economic development, owners of properties in the opportunity areas, developers of properties throughout town, hazard and resiliency folks, and sustainability folks. We attended all of our different committees many times throughout this process, including the Transportation Safety Committee, the CAPS Committee, the Silk Committee, Open Space Advisory Committee, ACES, Historical Commission, and the Parks and Recreation Committee. We provided several updates to you in Town Council throughout the process. We had an open house in the spring of 2025 with a survey and online survey. We did the speaker series. There were 4 different meetings in this room where we had subject matter experts come and answer questions from staff and community members on their respective areas. Following the open house, we did an online survey. Then we had a second open house and a second online survey. We went to commissions and councils and did updates again. And hopefully this evening we are asking for a recommendation on the final version or final draft of the plan. Things that changed since last time we were here, which was 2 weeks ago, as comments from you all, comments from town staff, and then comments that we received through the online process that people could review the plan and provide feedback and add comments. We changed the title of this slide and this section from top themes from engagement to Superior's themes for the future, because it more accurately describes what these reflect. We changed the P under prepared and resilient community to read as Superior is a community that thrives in the face of adversity, capable of mitigating impacts from, adapting to, and recovering from challenges such as natural disasters, economic shifts, and social disruptions. This represents each of the chapters in the comprehensive plan. There's 9 chapters, and at the end of each chapter, we have goals, strategies, and actions for each of these chapters. The goals are broad statements that push towards achieving the vision and encapsulates values. So within each goal, you'll see a note to the shape, what shapes Superior. These are our values that we went through community feedback to come up with. So within each chapter under the goal, the larger goal area, you'll see this shape. And then if it's not bright lettered and it's muted, that means it's not, that goal doesn't represent one of that particular value, but the ones that are brightened are like that goal lends itself to that value within the overall plan. Then below each goal, you have policies, and then you have very specific actions that can be taken and partner organizations to work with, and also priority levels for each of those actions. So changes from January are in the opportunity areas. They are linked in the executive summary. Home ownership opportunities was added to the housing chapter on page 101. Population projections were added to the community chapter on page 74. Additional context was provided around declining school enrollment and the community chapter on page 75. We added a glossary of terms in the appendix on page 205. We rearranged and added strategies and actions in the economic development chapter. And these are just some samples of things that you'll see that we added or changed. We also updated the economic development chapter from staff's recommendations. We rewrote the resiliency chapter. The parks, recreation, open space chapter added some actions, strategies, and goal number 5. We swapped out several photos. We also made some changes based on community input that we got through the Shape Superior website. We added flex space to the glossary. We added history of Town 15 site and commercial zoning. We added links to the, by commercial zoning, I mean the existing property zoning. Added links to the page in implementation that spells out acronyms for partners. And then we added a link to the planning webpage on the town's website to access the plans referenced. To access the plans referenced in the plan itself. Sorry, that wasn't clear. There was something else that I just lost, so hopefully I remember it as we move forward. Regarding opportunity areas, the background and input, we added the approved gardening and storage expansion area to the photo on the left for the 76th and Guardian opportunity area. For discovery, we added some policy connections. We put medium density residential. I think at first it just said residential, so we specified the land use recommendation for the primary land use as medium density residential. For the Superior Marketplace, we added a policy connection in the economic development chapter related to maximizing sales tax revenues. And then the next steps are council update on February 9th and council adoption on February 23rd. I don't know if you want to have public comment. I do have, like, if you all have questions, I have the plan itself up here. We can do questions from you and then community questions or comments. I don't know how you.
Yes. Does anybody have a questions for Renee?
I can go. Did you update the opportunities for each one for open space? Or do they
No.
still only say just for development?
We did there are wherever it was noted as a recommended use, we added it to.
But I was talking about like for the actual parcels.
Correct. So
Yeah.
within the land use chapter, for example, in here, we talked about in the opportunities. critical opportunity goals, strong connection to trail.
There you go, yeah.
Head
Great.
and surrounding neighborhoods supporting the recreation and network. So we added this to this section because the open space and recreation use is a recommended primary use on this particular property.
So then it's not an opportunity for the others?
It is, and it's, I don't know if where else we added it. I feel like there is the areas. I think we only added it to where it's in the recommended uses section. So if it's in here as a recommended land use, then we added it to the opportunities in the description of the property.
Can we see the future predictions?
I wish I had like a thing to like go up and down. There it is. Which one? Sorry, Amanda.
You said you added future predictions for population.
Yes, that is in the community section. That's not community. Population projections are right here. So 2024, the population, according to the ACS, was 13,136. And in 2045, according to the state demographer's website, it'll be, the growth is 2,201. So the total population would be 15,337. I guess it's from Dr. Cog, not the demographer's website. Sorry.
Since we're talking about that, I had a couple of comments. I looked up too, I was kind of curious what the population were. The US Census in 2024 listed at about 13,643 plus or minus. So quite different from Dr. Cog. And I think, going by memory, which is dangerous, in the water and wastewater master plan, I thought they started out with over 14,000 people as current population. So I guess my question is, and maybe it doesn't need to be changed yet, but I think staff probably has the best handle on trying to figure out what our population is. And then in terms of looking in the future, it seems like a good way to project it would be to use what we think might occur on the opportunity areas. And again, it'd be a range, but see where it heads. I think it'll come out higher than what's there.
It's possible. We take our numbers from like the decennial census. So 2020 would have been like the last time we had like a number for the town of Superior. And then everything since then is based on information that the state gets from the town and then projections based on that information that they use to calculate the population. And the Marshall Fire had a significant impact on our overall population. So, and that happened since the census. So it's hard to know exactly where we're at. I think that this, like, whether it's 13,136 or 13,600, it's still a good representation of.
It's the ballpark. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
it doesn't really change, I think, any conclusions here, but at some point it'd be nice to know what they are to forecast like water consumption and maybe an estimate of school-age children who might be here in the future.
You could go into all kinds of data on population projections, and the state demographer's office is like the most fascinating website to peruse and watch like the like charts for population growth and changes in population by age and all kinds of information. If you haven't ever looked at that website, I recommend looking at it. It's super fascinating. And the water plan, does take into account build out. What that build out includes, I'm not 100%, but Jim Widener, our water guy is what I call him. I forget his actual title. He probably could tell you more information on like what goes into his calculations for water, but it does look at development of all of the opportunity sites in the overall plan.
Yeah, I thank you so much for so many of the updates turned around so quickly on this. I think this has been really beneficial to see us changing this document in real time. So I wrote down two things. The first sentence in it says this is a long-range policy guide, right? So this is a guide. I know we wrote the transportation plan, or we built it in conjunction. For those that are looking at the opportunity areas in this plan and going, hey, that sounds like a great idea, but that dog just ain't gonna hunt as far as the roads work right now. And looking at the P of our plan, which is prepared and resilient community, like, can you walk us through the process should a development happen that is a medium density, opportunity that gets fulfilled? Can you walk us through how transportation is analyzed at each development before something is approved? Meaning, and I'm asking because I want to know how we can continue to be prepared and resilient as a community should new developments come in that increase traffic, that increase congestion. And then in many of our community's minds is, should another natural disaster happen, how do we prevent our transportation plan from keeping us in town for an hour and a half?
It was a very great question and complicated question. The comprehensive plan in the land use chapters for the opportunity zones make recommendations for land uses, and the transportation plan that we did concurrently with the comprehensive plan looked at those development scenarios that were being considered and used those in the transportation plan. So when a development opportunity comes along, any development of any of the opportunity zones requires a new public hearing process. So the comprehensive plan is just a guiding document that makes, big picture suggestions. It does take into consideration traffic and resiliency and connections to other land uses nearby, everything that's in the plan to, does it make economic sense and things like that. But it doesn't, by any stretch of the imagination, look at the specific development of any specific property that could be developed. So when a developer comes and says, I want to develop this site this way, they point to the comprehensive plan to see if their land use is in, is a recommendation of the plan. They may also look at the sustainability section and see if they can provide any additional, things with their development that are in the sustainability, section for goals and strategies. They may look to the transportation chapter and the transportation plan to see what it says about traffic management for a particular site. And then they have a traffic study done by traffic engineers, which are reviewed by town staff in the Public Works Department to ensure they're accurate, and they clearly depict the impacts of a given development on adjacent roadways. And when we get those applications for development, they also require public hearing processes. So they come back through the planning commission, they come back through the town council for approval. Oftentimes you'll see before they even get to an application, they'll bring a concept plan to the council to get some initial like buy-in from the council as to, you know, what concerns there might be from adjacent neighbors. They'll also hold neighborhood meetings. They're not required by our code, but staff often recommends that developers hold a neighborhood meeting to get feedback from property owners in the vicinity of the property. And then we go through a whole review process. We send it out throughout town departments, and then we also send it to adjacent jurisdictions within a particular boundary, depending on the location of the site being proposed for development. So did that answer your... Oh, emergency evacuation, thank you. I was like, I feel like I'm missing something. We have, since the Marshall Fire, partaken in so many new emergency and resiliency and hazard mitigation planning efforts. Allison James is our, I'm gonna butcher her title too, resiliency, hazard mitigation, and everything else manager. She works tirelessly with Boulder County Office of Emergency Management. She works with the fire district. She works with the police department. And since the Marshall Fire specifically, we've done lots of planning efforts for what to do in the case of another emergency. So people, whether residents know it or not, the people in charge will have a better, they will have more knowledge and better plans to help mitigate some of the impacts that people had and saw during the Marshall Fire for getting out of neighborhoods. I don't personally know exactly what all of those plans say or what will be done, but I assure you that there have been copious amounts of people looking and planning for all different types, not just fires, but flooding emergencies, storm emergencies. Can't think of what other types of emergencies there are, but they go through a whole hazard mitigation process, looking at all the different hazards that the town has and what level of, concern they may be, and then they make plans based around those.
Follow up on your point, Rob.
Sure.
I attended the community meeting last night that Carmel Partners presented their proposed apartment complex on the 76th Street. And I think some residents are here, and one of the big concerns of the residents was emergency evacuation, specifically mentioning the challenges with the Marshall Fire. So first thing would be nice would be, again, for me too, I think for us would be to hear that, what the town has worked on for that to maybe hopefully alleviate some concerns of a lot of the residents in that area in general. And also, I think, what I gathered from the meeting, I think some folks might mention it, I think there's a bit of a healthy skepticism on the traffic studies and modeling and big concern about, well, again, the proposal like 350 apartments there. So maybe another 600, 700 cars that just really, or can Marshall McCaslin or the streets around there really handle it, not just for emergencies, but even routinely. So I certainly didn't, I attended a meeting, but I didn't really say too much. I didn't figure it's my place, but I am curious as to what staff can give us in terms of more details on the transportation modeling so we understand it really well to be able to explain it.
I
And
am not
probably
a
a future meeting.
transportation planning expert, and I would be happy to have our transportation engineer from the town come and speak to you. Jeffrey's also really good from the planning side of things at transportation-related issues. But when you're talking about like a development and what impacts that development will have on surrounding roadways and traffic, the job of the developer and the transportation engineer who puts together that plan is to answer all of those types of questions. They should be able to speak to you all, you know, in language that you clearly understand on what, you know, level of service, blah, 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 A, B, C, D, E, F, like what that means. And what impact that would have from you, the daily visitor, down that road. From a emergency management, this whole chapter was rewritten since the last version. It talks about all the different projects and plans and efforts that are being undertaken currently and have been done and will be done. Working with community wildfire partners, creating a continuity of operations plan, the WUI code update and conflagration operation response plan that they're working on currently, the Boulder County hazard mitigation plan. You can see this was short and now it's long. Allison works really, really hard to make sure that what happened in, you know, the Marshall Fire doesn't happen again to the same level. I mean, we can't prevent fires, but we can do a lot to mitigate their impacts and to help people at that time. So she wrote she and her partners with the fire department and the police department, they all went through this whole chapter and they all commented, and the result is a basically rewritten chapter. And she has more comments even from this, but like, I encourage you all to read through all of the work that she's been doing related to like specifically like emergency planning and how we can do. I mean, absent building nothing and widening roads for 5 lanes in all directions everywhere you go, you know, like what can realistically be done in order to help protect people and mitigate future disaster.
Thank you.
You know, I had a couple of comments on some numbers that are on page 74 and page 75. They have to do with population figures.
Okay.
Yeah, that nice little box with the population 65 plus. I was looking at something else, and the population of people 65 plus is in the 9 to 9.5% range. I think what this is the percent of households with at least one person who is 65.
I would have to go back and look at our existing conditions report. One of my comments is to add the actual existing conditions report to like as an appendices to
That'd
this.
be great,
So
yeah.
that you can actually see like and clarify these types of numbers. Because you may be right, but I don't know enough to say one
Yeah.
way or the other.
Yeah, I think going back to the source on that would be great. Also, we have a statement in the middle of the page that we've seen an overall decline in enrollment over the past 3 years, K-12. We don't actually have quick K-12 figures. If it were me, I would just say over the past several years and not mention the grades, because we have some enrollment figures below that do come from the school district and that is solid information.
Yes.
Those bigger.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, oh, that would be interesting to read, and
There you go. Is that better?
yeah, yeah. And certainly, decreasing affordability and availability of housing for young families contributes to this. There's also pretty significant birth rate demographic trends that contributes. So I would mention birth rates. If you want, I can just
email those again. Yeah,
just do
because I
that,
know we changed this a little bit, but I think we didn't capture everything. So
Yeah.
send
I'll just send it to
Send
you.
more.
Happily.
Please.
Happily, yeah, they're just little
Yeah.
tweaks. So,
But I think it says K through 12 there because there's also pre-K and there's also college students. So these figures only are for K through 12.
the figures we have are K through 8,
yeah.
Okay.
because we only have K through 8 schools within our town limits.
Well, and I don't know, we'd have to, again, the existing conditions would tell us where these numbers come from, or where, like, if we're talking K through 12, where those.
Yeah, and maybe maybe they had some.
So I think
but-
there's some clarification
Yeah.
there. So, yeah,
Excellent.
send me your comments. I will have the appendices added with the existing conditions report so that we can hopefully make sure that it reads correctly.
Okay. And where can we find the existing conditions report?
I think it's
Is it
still
on the
linked
Shape-
on the Shape Superior
Is it?
website. Yeah.
Okay.
If it's not, let me know, but I'm almost positive it's still there. It'll be in the documents section on the right-hand side.
So actually, one other comment on the enrollment figures. I looked at the BVSD website today, and they actually have, they updated quite a bit. They've even got some numbers from December 2025, and it is broken out by grade. So like, it does have the detail for El Dorado K-8, just for elementary, and El Dorado K-8, 6th to 8th grade. So all that level of detail is in there. And, you know, I mean, numbers, there's some different numbers in this than that, even though it's a PVSD
Yeah.
info page.
And the numbers constantly get updated. I think that what you want in the comprehensive plans are trends and based on numbers that are taken from people
Superior's
who
up this year for some reason.
do the numbers on a regular basis. So Boulder Valley School District is the correct location to take these numbers, and they're constantly updating their numbers based and looking at it from all sorts of different ways. So,
Yeah, I think they literally have a count number sometime in October.
yeah, exactly. I think annually they get, or even semi-annually.
Well, yeah, I know I get the email like, don't let your kids be absent on these days.
Right, yeah.
I don't have any further comments. I added my comments in the document, and you guys addressed them. So thank you for putting up with us and all of the comments that we added to that document and that you addressed them. So I think you guys have done a great job, so thank you.
I concur with Steve. This is an impressive plan.
Yeah, I also concur that this is great, and sorry that we just nitpick, but it's our job.
And I will say, so we are bringing the version that you'll see in the packet for council for the first reading this coming Monday will look substantially, if not almost identical to this. But there is still opportunity to make these types of changes before their second hearing, before we're asking them to make a decision on the comprehensive plan. So all these little things hopefully can get addressed between now and, a week or two from now.
I got more, sorry.
Yeah, go for it. Okay.
Sorry. Ultimate nitpicker here, as you know. So let's see, page 48. And that's a section where there's descriptions of the different zoning, or not, I don't know if it was called zoning, but it's the development categories.
Yeah.
One that I realized was missing was medium density residential, which is what's we're recommending for a lot of the opportunity areas. So I think we should probably add that. And again, examples would be Sagamore and Wee Cottages. Maybe some others as well.
Actually, there's an issue around that I was going to raise, which is if you look in the town code, medium density residential is defined as 8 units per acre, but we're adding medium density residential as a zoning category in some of the places where we're saying 15 to 25 dwelling units per acre or 30 to... If you go to those, I mean, apart from perhaps putting more descriptions in here, if you go to the, can you go to say the 76th Street?
I want to talk about this really quick.
Okay,
So there's two things. The land use the land uses are not zone districts. So
Right.
like when we talk about, I hear what you're saying, Mike, about medium density residential, and it would generally fall into this multi-unit residential characteristic, medium to higher density housing types in a neighborhood setting, integrating parks, open space, and trails to unify the neighborhood and provide linkages to other areas of the town. So there could be, like, our examples for this type of pattern are Bell Flatirons and Origin Apartments. That doesn't necessarily mean that future developments that fall within a multi-unit residential development would be for sale or for rent. They could be either or both. It's just how dense number of dwelling units they are. So we may want to consider like calling this under somewhere medium density residential.
But I think like what David said, when we use medium density, my expectation is it's only up to 8 dwelling units per acre.
And that's our zoning, and the
Right,
town's
right.
zoning doesn't have medium density or high density residential at all.
I know that, but it's confusing.
It is confusing,
Yeah.
I don't disagree, but the zoning is not the same as land use. So our residential zone districts are the low density residential and medium density residential. And I recognize that medium density residential, as it reads in the land use code, in the town's code, is different from what land use and not zoning is. So
Hang on, Amanda.
Oh.
If you just go to the 76th Street thing, okay. Now, if you look down there under the zoning districts, it says RM,
medium.
right?
Yep. Yeah.
So that is clearly not what you're proposing.
It could be.
Well, it could be. It would be very nice if it was. But, I mean, up above, you're saying light industrial or multi-unit medium density. And so you've got medium density being used in two different ways in the same paragraph.
Yes.
My suggestion for fixing this is that under each of the related zoning districts, you should put planned development, because I don't think any of the multi-use ones could be done without a planned development.
That's a good comment. Thank you.
So since that's
That
up,
was my question.
so since that's up there, and again, having come from the meeting last night and some of my own thoughts or biases, it strikes me that I wouldn't, if that came before us now, I would vote against what was proposed. And I think it was mentioned, it should be medium density, which would be up to like 100 homes per there. And so rentals are for sale, not really saying for ownership, but, so I don't know, I was thinking on this, if we should consider changing the recommendation, just medium density for there. It fits in with the community, like Sagamore's there. We're gonna have plenty of rentals so anyway, that's just that struck me in hearing, thinking about this more.
Well, and I think, so these recommendations take into account lots of different things, like for sure, resident comment, your comments, staff comments. They also take into account economic development, what could potentially fit on the site, surrounding land uses, like lots of things went into the conversation around these. So I think that changing the recommended primary land use to remove multi-unit might be a mistake, but that doesn't mean that the development that's proposed is the right development for the property. I think I think we could add dwelling units per acre to this, because we have it on other pages, and it could read, 8 to 25 dwelling units per acre, because multi-unit would be higher than like medium density residential, which is higher than the RM zone district the town has. So, something, adding a dwelling units per acre to this that's, that we use throughout the plan would be a good recommendation. But I don't want to remove a recommendation for a land use per se.
I was just going to mention that goes counter to our affordability goals, because you're going to need multi-unit to get affordability.
And so my thinking was we've got 250 apartments coming online downtown. We're probably going to get apartments in the marketplace and the RTD site. So it seems like lots of opportunities.
But none of those are, when you, like, I know where your mind goes when you think of those, but those are not guaranteed developments. And even if they bring those, it doesn't mean that you have to approve them. This just sets like a variety of land uses that would pencil for the site, that would make sense from a financial standpoint, that would, blend in with neighboring like uses that, there's so much that could be. One proposed development doesn't have to be it.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that goes into my thinking is if we're trying to get senior housing or less expensive or attainable housing, let's say, this location, Zaharias and maybe Discovery, that's all we have left. So if leaving it to the market, we're seeing apartments here, apartments in Zaharias, is that really the best for the town?
And that will be up to you at a later date, not this evening.
I mean, I'm just, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, that's my thoughts on that one.
If you can email me those, because I think there's some changes that we could make to this slide in particular.
And I've got more. So in the marketplace, think there's the second paragraph, somewhere there was a reference to the Northwest planning document. There, under community input. You may know better than me, Dave. I don't know if the public comments were buying into that back then. Again, different now, but I seem to remember a lot of resistance to those projects.
I was around then.
The projects that were brought forward were greatly in excess of anything that was included in the Northwest Sub-Area Plan. The Northwest Sub-Area Plan, which was never adopted, by the way, I think anticipated between 250 and 350 units in the marketplace. The two developments that were brought forward added up to about 650 units. So there were nearly twice as many of them as were originally contemplated in the Northwest Sub-Area Plan, if that's helpful.
Oh, yeah, but I guess the comment makes it sound like that back then, the comments were kind of in agreement with what the new comment is, that it's okay to do that, and I'm not sure that was necessarily the case.
No, there was quite a lot of support for doing some further. The reason for doing further development in the marketplace was to keep the goal overall was to try and make the marketplace a destination where people stopped rather than just where people drove into Costco and drove out again. And it was felt that we felt that there were, you were around at this time, weren't you, Steve? But I think the feeling was that there were better uses for the acres of parking lot than just being vacant parking lot every day except Christmas and Valentine's Day.
No, it's just that this was a characterization of community input. I don't know if
we had a lot of community.
but
there was a lot of community input on the North. We had meetings, we laid out plans.
No, it's not so much that, it's what the community thought. I don't know if the community was in favor of those. That's kind of what the comment says. Is that a correct characterization of the community input?
There was a lot of discussion about it.
But yeah, I remember it wanted to keep that area vibrant.
Yes.
And yeah, it involved.
I think it considered
development.
I feel like the point was in this statement was that they considered residential development within the marketplace and within the northwest area. And if this needs to be reworded, if y'all want to wordsmith it and send me revisions to the sentence to make it, or to these two sentences to make it more the way that you feel like would
Sure,
make
okay.
sense, then for sure send me, wordsmith away.
And I guess the other thing that again, there was a lot of input about traffic back then,
Yes.
concerned about traffic. And so, and I think we're going to hear that depending on what goes on here from the community, but maybe a constraint or a possible concern would be traffic mitigation. I heard that quite a bit last night, and I suspect we'll continue to hear that.
And if you want to add that to this,
Constraints?
we can
Okay.
add we did add it to the constraints for the Zaharias property specifically.
And probably
We
for
also-
76 as well.
Have this pedestrian bicycle connections.
Okay, I can give you those thoughts on that then. if
So
that's-
but where's Zaharias? We added, constraints are limited site access, may cause potential traffic impacts, distance from arterials,
Yeah.
and we also added connection to sidewalks, protected bike lanes. We added some verbiage in here about transportation and traffic concerns. So for sure, go through this version, and
Okay.
if there's, if we missed it somewhere, or if you want to change the wording on something and make a recommendation, like, by all means, send those.
Okay. And since you're on Zaharias, this was kind of mentioned before, so we've got the building scale at 15 to 20. But then we're calling the land uses medium density to residential. So back to the other
Yep.
concern, I interpreted that to up to 8 units per acre.
Yeah, I hear your comment on that. So we, like, send me that, like, that tie to the whatever
Okay.
page that was with the land uses. If we can somehow figure out the best way to tie the land use map and the proposed land uses with the building scale. Like, I do see that there's some variation in here that we could probably make clearer.
Okay. And let's see.
We'll look at those too,
Okay.
because you're pointing to them. I feel like we've looked at them so many times, and every time I look at them, I'm like, does that make sense? I'm like, I don't know. So
Same for me.
And I think, like, I think the more we look at it and the more we, like, are intentional in making sure that they all, like, speak to one another, the better.
That's the same for me. I've seen different things each time I look at it. So last comment, page 132. That's where we're talking about open space. A point, and we talk about the percentages of open space. Let's see, yeah, kind of down into the paragraph to the left of the
Down here.
photo. What really seems important to me that may not be highlighted is the town code says that, like, for medium density to residential, 40% of the land's got to be open space. It seems like we should make that point here, because it should, guarantee's the wrong word, but it should certainly increase the probability that we're going to get 40% open space. And you know, it's a concern of a lot of folks of preserving our open space, and the town code for that category should really preserve it.
Is that the private green space, though?
There's a lot. So
I'm
this
just
is
talking
an
just
overall.
in general, yeah.
This is overall town parks and open space, and this isn't, and then the way the zoning works is when a property comes to develop, there's a requirement for them to provide open space within a private development. There's a really good map on the town's website that differentiates the difference between public and private open space and all of the numbers associated with those types of open space uses. Generally, what this is looking at are what's shown here.
Sure, no, I understand, but I mean,
So when we say almost 40% is comprised of parks and open space in this particular section, we're talking about just the things that are called out on this map here, not including private green space and areas used for water detention. So, like, yes, the code requires 40%. So when you have a new development that comes in, if they're going straight zoning, even if it's an individual property in original town developing a single family home or single unit home, they can only cover, so there's a lot coverage
Sure.
maximum for those. And then if you're developing a large property like Zaharias, then there's a 40% open space requirement that gets negotiated on what that looks like, where it is, whether it's, open for public use or whether it's a private park for residents only. Those are all things that get negotiated through the development process.
But my point is, like, when Zaharias comes, there's concern, we don't want to see the whole thing develop. We want to preserve some open space. The town code, kind of the way it is now, that should happen. Just a question of where.
Where and how, and
Yeah.
they look to, the parks master plan.
So I don't know, I just thought that's a good point to mention. It seems like it doesn't get highlighted that much, that we've as a town have done a good job to try to maintain
Encourage
that.
it, yeah.
I think it's a difference, open space. Open space is like the untouched open space, not just undeveloped. I think there's a difference in, or developed in grass.
Right, yeah.
That's the difference, is like when, it's the difference between zoning and plan, and difference between open space as it's zoned, and when we approve something to be open space, it means it's maintains, the whole lot is gonna be open space, like Coyote Ridge or something like that. But when you have a house, you have a yard, that's not open space.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about what's in the code for a larger development.
But that would be the same thing. Open space is different than, say, with the new developments up there where they put in a dog park. The dog park is going to be part of the development. It's not going to be open space.
All right.
I don't even know how it's categorized, but I'd be more worried it's like things like the space like just between two buildings or the island in a parking lot. That might count toward the open space, and I don't think that's what anybody had in mind. So that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is clearly like these maps, and there's more maps online if you want to go down into like different categorizations of parks, open space, different, lot coverages. There's all kinds of different ways to look at it. I hear what you're saying, like when we go to develop things, there is the 40% requirement, but that doesn't, in most people's minds, correlate to a park and open space like trails and Coyote Ridge and Purple Park. Some developments dedicate open space and parks within the development, and then some dedicate private open space, and then some might just be, space where there's landscaping. So like the 40% in a development is different from the 40 than the parks and open space that we're talking about here.
Okay, interesting. It does say open space so it's kind of confusing to me, at least in reading it from a layman's terms.
That's very fair and gets confusing.
I think it's just the difference between it being capitalized open space and then above where it's not capitalized. So one's a noun, one's not a noun.
I'm okay, thank you, Renee.
Michael, do you have something else you wanted to do?
Yeah. Do we make any changes regarding affordable housing versus attainable housing? Because it still says throughout, like with the orange ones, the yellow orange developments, it references affordable housing. So then if you look at the definition of affordable housing, it's only rentals. It says, then it's saying we're only pushing
glossary?
rentals. Yeah, in the glossary.
Send me that in a comment. 'Cause
Okay.
it should be, affordable housing can be either for rent or for sale.
Yeah, because right now it just
And
says
meeting.
just rental. That's why.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I did
Okay.
not catch that.
And then also, page 22 for site plan review. It says everything except for single-family dwellings, site plan review, development review. It says just multifamily or single family go for site plan review, but we're about to vote on if EVs are going to be not needing site plan review anymore. So then that won't be correct. And I know one of the things that you were trying to push were more in-house approvals without site plan review.
So the way that we wrote the EV charging code is this still applies. So anything that isn't a single unit or duplex still goes through the public review process.
That's not but okay, we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
So then,
Well, let me
Yeah.
clarify that when we
Yeah.
talk about the land use
So then-
changes.
that's how we want to keep it though? Like it will always be a review still besides those two?
That's how it's written today in
Okay.
our code. If it changes, then
Okay.
then
Yeah.
this little piece will
I
change
just
with the
wanted to make
next
sure, yeah, no, I just
comprehensive
wanted to make
plan
sure that that
update.
was, because I know that's one of the things that you guys were looking into, trying to do more administrative approvals.
And that's like whether or not we want to from a town perspective, there's a lot of like conversations around expedited reviews for
Yeah.
different types of development from the state level. And if and when we are required to make changes, we bring any changes to the land use code section through planning commission and then the town council for review. But there aren't any proposed changes that I'm aware of currently that are going to change this particular piece.
Okay. And I thought I had one more. 1 second. No, I think that's it for now. Yeah, because those were the main things. And then just the true nitpicky thing. In one of the opening ones, you're missing the word "the." And one of the things where it has to be incorporated still to be annexed into town, it says, instead of into the town. That's
yeah.
all. But that was just true nitpicking, sorry.
No, you're good. Send me those too because they're really hard to catch when
Oh, yeah, when you looked at it for 1,000 hours, yeah.
But then, like as a first-time reader, when you read it, you're like, man, they missed the word.
It's just my wife always catching me when I leave them out, so like.
Yeah, totally. So, yes. And if you think of anything else, anyone send me those comments or edits or questions. We'll see
Yeah,
what
I
we can
think-
do.
I think that was it. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes that I put on here. Yeah, I think I'm good for now.
Okay. My main comment was going to be about not using medium density residential as a land use and as a code reference in the same paragraph. I think nearly all the opportunity areas would actually need a planned development to do anything on them, wouldn't they? I mean, Zaharias is owned commercial, Discovery is owned office.
It depends on what if someone wanted to develop in accordance with the current zoning and within the zoning allowances that the property is zoned by today, they could do that through a site development plan process, or if it's in Rock Creek, the final plat site plan process, or if it's in downtown, the final development plan process. They're all generally the same process and it all comes through you all for review, but it wouldn't necessarily be a rezoning of the property.
But none of the primary recommendations are actually to continue the existing zoning. Huh?
Some of them include the existing zoning as one of the recommended uses. So they're not all recommending not what their properties are zoned for completely.
Well, anyway, I'd just like to sort it out so that there's no more confusion. I mean,
With regards to the medium.
Add a planned development option or something like that.
Right, which we
take that
talked
out.
about, I think, especially for like Zaharias, when we will go through and look at that medium density and define what that means and look at the land use characteristic table and see if there's further clarification that we need to make. Or differentiation between the zoning designations that the town has currently and then what the land use recommendations mean.
I had a couple of small things. If you're doing this on the web, is there a link now between the opportunity areas on the land use map and the sections in the plan that discuss them? If you go back to the executive summary.
So right here,
Click there or over in
Yeah.
the gray area.
it goes to the 76th
That immediately
Street.
takes you there.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's good.
So we added those links. Yeah, so each of these link to the
Yeah,
respective
if you
pages.
If you click on 7, for instance, it goes to Resolute.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, that's great. And then it's not some, I guess it's the glossary, the things on page 150, I think it's 151 and 152. That's it. Huh? That actually comes after all of those terms are used in.
Yeah, so there's an asterisk after partners on each of the end of each chapter. I'll show you, right here. This little asterisk is meant to take you to this partners page, but it doesn't say that's what it does anywhere. So I already have that comment because the asterisk only helps if you know why there's an asterisk, and it's not clear. So it does, if you click on it, it takes you to the partners page, but you don't know that if you're just reading the document.
I figured ST stood for short term, but some of the other ones on the partners were a little more confusing.
Yep. So, yes.
Okay.
It does need to be clarified where you can find this information before the first, section of goals, so that you know what that asterisk means and the page that it's on.
The land use designations still bother me. I mean, I know. I think we as a commission have been trying to push for the best definition of what might go there, possibly. Like, this is like, can we have senior housing instead of apartments? I think you and the consultants have been sort of pushing back and saying, no, we've got to keep this general. I understand where you're coming from too. I think we are probably building up a lot of aggravation for ourselves in the future, because every developer who comes in is going to quote what the primary land use is as their basis for the development they're proposing. That was basically what Garrett did with Zaharias, and I don't think Zaharias went anywhere. I mean. There were enough people saying that the traffic was going to be terrible, that there were no exits, that the chances that, what was the primary use on Zaharias? Can we go back to Zaharias?
Medium density residential with cluster cottages.
So medium density residential, and somewhere up above it says 20 to 25, 15 to 25 dwelling units per acre. That's how you get, I actually did this calculation, that produces 350 units on 23 acres, which the town council clearly wasn't really going to vote in favor for. So if there's some, I mean, I hate bringing up a problem without at least having a possible solution. But this, I mean, we're going to be arguing with developers for the next.
Can't we just always say no if they bring it? And we're like, oh, that doesn't work. This is like a moonshot, because when you're doing.
We can certainly say no, but I hate telling developers that this is something that's we're open to considering, when we're not really open to considering it at all.
I think a few of us have worked with developers or worked in architecture or work in planning. And when you're starting a project, you take a litmus test to see what the town really wants. And you are going there at risk of it not being approved. So like when you're showing up to a meeting, you're like, oh, I kind of follow the rules, the things that they wanted, but things could have changed in the X amount of years since it first went. It's just something that it's part of a developer having to take on some risk of, if I'm going to do this or not, I don't know if it's going to pass or not. Because the thing is, if it's different, that's why we have the safeguard of having plan review. And that's so that we can say, all right, it follows the initial guide plan, but when we actually see what they put in front of us, like, I don't care if it said it up there, it was good. Actually seeing it in person, this doesn't work. And then we can say no, or we can recommend no. So I think that's why it's a difference between a use of right through zoning in your plan of what you kind of want to do. So I think that's one of the key things is when you're looking at doing a development, you're going to look to see, oh, this is my use of right. No matter what, I can do this. But you'll come in with a plan trying to get more. It's just one of the things of when you buy a piece of property and you know what the zoning is, you know what you can do no matter what, and then you hope you can do something else. So I think that's why you don't have to change it, because that's why we have zoning, that's why we have the safeguard plan review, that's why we have all those different opportunities to say, no, we don't like it. And that's why it's the difference between a plan review, and actual eventual permit approval.
And I think also you're 100% right. And there's all these comments in here that talk about transit and communities and trails and the site constraints and the site opportunities, where you can clearly see that there's going to be like things that make this property more difficult to develop. And 15 to 20 dwelling units per acre, you know, like you said, you could, like in original town, in the RM zone district, it says you could build up to 8 dwelling units or 6 dwelling units. But in reality, you'll, like, fitting the maximum number of dwelling units per acre on a site is nearly impossible when you have to take into consideration all of the other requirements of a development itself, you know, having open space, emergency access, amenities for people who live in, if it's a residential development, like wildlife habitat, if that exists near the site, like all these things. So like you might concentrate a development in a smaller portion of a particular property and then have different uses around it. So I think, one, we need to take another look at like how we define these things in the plan. But two, Michael's right about the purpose of this plan as setting, you know, a big picture of possibilities, but like the zoning is really what is allowed to be built on a particular property, and any zoning change is going to come through you all in a site plan process. And then you'll look at this and the open space plan and the hazard mitigation plan and the transportation plan and all the other plans. And then you'll look at what they're proposing and how it meets those plans. And they are supposed to do that job for you. They're supposed to come in and say, your comprehensive plan says this use is, you know, recommended, and your transportation plan says that this is difficult, so we're recommending these differences, and your sustainability action plan says that we should be all electric, so we're going to do that and more. And so, like, you know, like their job as the developer of a particular site is to look at this and all the other things that go into their development and make a recommendation from the developer's perspective. And then your job is to look at that and decide whether that makes sense for the town.
I just wonder if that 15 to 20 develop should be a maximum. Not like let's every acre there, 15 to 20. And I think again, we need to go through and look at what medium density residential, like how we define things in here, and make them can like speak to each other from the land use characteristic side of things, not necessarily the zoning, because related zone districts calling out RM here and RL isn't. There should be PD, and there should be, like, we don't really have a zone district for, like,
true medium-density residential land use. Like, but we do have a residential medium density that's a zone district that is different from how we are defining medium density residential land use in the comprehensive plan. So for sure, there is a disconnect that needs to be like vetted in that initial section under land uses. Yes.
Is it not true that the land use code governs and that this document is merely guidance that
Yes.
channels the community's preferences?
100%.
Okay, I quit.
Please don't quit.
I think that puts me up.
Okay. I really mean the discussion. Okay.
Do you want to
fair
listen
enough.
to these folks now?
Sorry?
I had one more quick thing, actually,
Oh, yeah,
sorry.
go
For
for it.
definitions for missing middle, I just wanted to know, it's on page like 206 or something like that. It says that, sorry, I'm racing here. What was it? Yeah, glossary of terms, it just says, they fall between single-unit homes in mid-rise apartment buildings in scale and density. It might be pushed even more then. Missing middle, yeah. They fall between single-unit homes in mid-rise apartment buildings in scale and density. Is it fall between or fall between and include? I just don't know how we're approaching it. Because by reading that, it's anything between single unit and mid-rise, but doesn't include single
Yeah, you're
homes
right.
and mid-rise. So I was just curious.
I would presume that it could include single
I would
unit or
read that
mid-rise
to include
apartment
them as well as
buildings.
be just between.
But
Because,
Yeah,
it's the middle between those. That's why I'm just, because I know we kind
duplexes.
of used it to mean single unit homes. So that's why I'm just kind of curious.
good question.
That's
This would,
fine.
the way this reads is that it would not include those two things.
Yeah.
If
Because
you,
it goes with what you were saying, though, where a developer would read this and like, well, if I buy this property, it's not including those homes. So that's what kind of why you need a
Well, we
definition.
might as well be as clear as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I was just curious how we were using it. That's all.
well, in this plan, it does not include single
Okay.
unit homes and mid-rise apartment buildings. If you think we should change the language,
Why not include it in there? Could be, small home.
Especially with ADUs.
ADUs are up there, though.
Oh, are they up? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but could an ADU be a missing middle?
It could be missing middle.
But then you're including everything.
I think it's that the confusion is it's
Right.
single unit homes, but it's single family residential.
well, in the wee cottages, you know, as an example, I think the idea behind them was to try and fill this, and, you know, for better or worse, they're slightly more affordable than some other single unit homes, but not substantially different. So I think the idea with missing middle is homes that we don't have in town that serve a purpose that goes beyond, you know, a small apartment and a large single unit like home.
Well, I feel like it's like kind of addresses like square footage, not necessarily the building
Or
type.
cost.
It could.
Yeah,
cost,
or
really.
Square footage. like-
It's really cost.
If you have ideas or if you find like a better definition that you think would make sense, like I'm open to alternative definitions. This was our first go at a glossary. We provided some initial feedback, but we could further define or
I would think it would be more like 1 to 2 bedrooms, or maybe you could, like bedrooms or square footage or,
If you
don't
read
know.
the first sentence, the thing that says such as duplexes, fourplexes, cottages, I mean, that seems pretty clear.
Did it include single family or not?
Well, it says
Yeah,
that.
it does
It says
just
that
wanted
it
to make
does
sure.
not.
Because it's
Yeah.
duplexes,
I think
fourplexes,
Michael's
cottages.
question is, should it, is it,
It seems like if it's.
Is it needed, I guess, or like,
Oh, I see. You
how
think
are we
you
doing
could
it?
add that.
Why wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
fair enough. Okay, fair enough.
Renee, you could Google it
Right.
and just see that
Yeah.
that single unit homes are excluded and that
and that multi-unit? Yeah.
larger multi-unit buildings are excluded. That's the whole idea of middle.
What about mobile homes? Would they be missing middle?
Not
No,
according
because
to
that's
this
a single-
development.
Well,
The-
because you rent the
They're
land.
cheaper.
You rent the land, but you're owning your own dwelling, domicile. So that's kind of the difference with that.
So maybe the wrong term, maybe prefab homes, which can be quite inexpensive, that might fall into the
Modular
cost.
homes.
But that's the
cost
same,
category
that's the
of
same
home.
thing. When you live in a prefab or mobile or whatever, someone owns the lot. So they,
Well, not necessarily. I'm talking you own the lot and you put a prefab
So-
home on it pretty inexpensively.
If you
but
read
then that's
these,
still just a one person.
a starter home kind of fills that gap. So if we the definition right under there would be a smaller, more affordable home for first-time purchase. So like
Okay.
a single unit could fall into a starter home, whereas a missing middle would not be a single unit home.
Okay.
Since we're there, could I just look at the definition of affordable? Because do we know where it came from? Because the same thing with like just Google it. It's a term that's probably predefined. So it says with or without public subsidy and can be rented at a below market rate and considered affordable. So affordable housing is only rentals then?
According to this, but I think
Okay.
we should,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, we
Okay.
should.
I just want to make sure, that's all. Since we were there.
Okay. Do we have any more questions for Renee? In that case, I think I have to open the public hearing, don't I? Okay. In that case, I am happy to open the public hearing and thank the public for sitting so patiently while we've gone through this process. If any of you would like to speak, you are most welcome. Please just give your sign in on our sign-in sheet and give your name and the town you live in.
Thank you. My name is Jay Slater. I live at 7482 Marshall Road, which is just north of the 76th Street development opportunity. And that's going to be the focus of my comments that I'm going to make tonight. Like Commissioner Barnes, I went to Carmel's presentation last night over in downtown Superior.
You can keep talking. I'll just pull up the 76th Street.
Okay. So we talked a bit about the process and the steps that Carmel will need to go through tonight here with, some of the comments that you guys were making and asking Renee about. I'm looking to understand the process that they will go through. I believe Carmel has made their pitch to the commissioners, and they did that back in November with a concept type of a plan. It wasn't open for really discussion. They just floated their ideas on that. So they then, the way I understand their process is that they would check that their intended development complies with the goals that are set forth in this master plan. And they can see that the 76th Street is an opportunity for habitational development. So they're fine on that. We've spoken tonight about Carmel's definition of low and medium density housing differs from the town. And just a note on that, they're pitching 376 units on 12 acres, which is over 30 units an acre, which is off the charts. And they're considering that medium density. So there's a disconnect in terms of that, but I feel we've addressed some of that. Next, we spoke about the traffic study and some of the issues around that. Carmel's plan has a single road in and out of that development site, and it all dumps down onto 76th. And we've discussed that that's a problem on a good day. They're talking about over 500 cars in that area. And, you know, Lahaina in Hawaii, that could be fatal on a bad day, like we saw during the Marshall fires, right? There's one road in and out. That's a real concern. So one of my questions is, who comes back and approves Carmel's plan that it complies with the traffic study component of the plan? Because I don't believe Carmel is anticipating doing anything to Marshall Road or the McCaslin interchange. They're just going to dump the traffic onto 76th and say, your problem. So that's I guess my ultimate question on that is, where does a plan like what Carmel is proposing, who approves that? Does that go to you as the planning commissioners, or does that ultimately go to the city council for them to approve it, or is a combination of the two of you working together? So, thank you.
Renee, would you like to answer that, or?
So typically we'll go through all the questions, but I'll just answer yours really quickly because it's simple. Theirs was a concept. They haven't submitted an application. There's no formal application yet. When they do submit an application, it goes out for review by staff to fit all of our requirements. Then it comes to Planning Commission for consideration. Then it goes to council for final, approval or denial or whatever. So that this plan is just a high picture of what, type of land use makes sense for this site, but the development itself still has to meet all those other requirements of the code and of, the Planning Commission and Town Council, who would then you'd come back and make all of your all of your points. Yes, exactly.
Thank you. One thing I noticed is Mr. Snyder said 12 acres, and this says 23 acres, so...
I can talk to that if you want. So since this slide was made, you can see they cleaned up the Guardian Storage owns they've annexed or whatever, done the work on the property south of their existing facility.
Yeah?
The property straight west is a single home that was a pre-manufactured home that is put on that property, trucked in and now erected. So it exists there as well. So the property that Carmel is talking about is north of this road. This is that single family home lot, and this is the Guardian Storage stuff. So the remainder of what Carmel is talking about is this property without this 1 acre piece here. That's a separate single family home.
Oh, I see. Okay. I
We're lotting out the home burn now.
Thank you. We'll just hope the microphone caught what you were saying. Okay, does anybody else like to comment? Okay, please.
Hi there. My name is Donnell Slater, and I'm married to Jay. And we live on the property just to the north of Everett's property, which is 12 acres. Is there any way to make that just a little bit bigger? That would be great.
Sorry. Let's see if I can. Is that better?
Yeah, perfect. So like I said, we share that little driveway that's right there with Everett's property as well. We've lived there for about 20 years. It's unincorporated Boulder County conservation easement we have on our property, which limits a lot of stuff that we can do on that property, which we are fine, that we're happy with that little spot. It's a piece of heaven. The problem I'm having with this is the survey that you guys put out in October had a line drawn, and I'll show it and I'll keep talking. Right here. This part was where they were talking about medium density housing, which I think you've addressed really well. Nobody thought that meant 30 people per acre, 30 units per acre. That seems like high density to me, but, and then it said back here, open space. Okay, so that's what everyone voted on. If also in the survey, everybody, the number one thing was people wanted open space. So when, as a resident, when we did this, we're like, great, open space, medium density housing, you're right by CDOT, Guardian Storage, Costco, put up some apartments, great, sounds fine. Then the survey results come out and that little line is gone, right? So I'm feeling a bit of a bait and switch. And we all know the political world today, little voices don't mean a lot anymore. And I'm here to be the little voice, the squeaky wheel, because there's a lot of issues with this property that aren't being addressed. One is it's a floodplain. I know it's not on the Colorado State water map as a floodplain, but I will tell you there is a pond right here. When that pond fills up, the water goes right here. In 2011, that was a lake. Now, there's also wildlife that uses that pond. We have owls, we have red-tailed hawks, we have coyotes. We have pictures of an elk in that pond. We've had deer. We have all kinds of things. And my point is, once this is gone, it's gone. Migratory birds won't be able to get a drink. Ducks won't have a place to nest. It's just another place that Carlson Properties is planning to dredge and fill. There is a Regulation 87 that came out in May of 2024 that was passed in Colorado for no dredge, no fill, for exactly this kind of purpose. Every time we take a wetland like that and just fill it, it's not good. It's just not healthy for our environment. And I think the town of Superior knows that people are very environmental. We love to be out in nature. And I really think that this was misrepresented in that survey, and that if you really want to know what this should be developed as, how come the town doesn't decide? Why don't you say, you know what, we don't want 360 apartments, but we would approve this, and then the town of Superior go to people and say, hey, we've got a piece of property that can be developed for 20 houses. How come it goes backwards? Like, I feel like we do these little surveys, tell what people want on there. It's confusing, it's misleading, and then a developer comes in with this grandiose plan, and it's like, wait a minute. Some of the buildings that they're proposing that are next to our property are 50 feet high. When we had the fire, the back part of our house burned, we couldn't go up 8 feet. That was it. We couldn't even go up 8 feet. So we have a ranch house, and we're gonna have 50 feet. That's 15 feet off our property line. Can you imagine that? I mean, we're gonna be like looking up, straight up into it's just crazy. So that's my thing. And also the traffic. I evacuated 41 dogs out of the dog kennel. I was stuck in this traffic for 2.5 hours trying to get out. We had to take 4 trips to get dogs out of there. And having another 1,000 people there, oh my God, I can't even imagine. We already had one person die right here. One woman died right there, and another one died down Marshall. I mean, it's not accessible. So I really hope that you guys consider the safety of the people, the environment that we're gonna dredge and fill, and the residents that live all around this, and take that into consideration. So that's my bit. There we go.
Thank you for your comments.
Hi, everyone. My name's Tim Peterson. I'll sign in a minute because I can't do multiple things at once. So just, you can remind me. I realize I'm between, you guys and your plans for the rest of the evening, so I'll try and be brief. First thing I want to say, though, is I recognize the enormity of the effort that's gone into this comprehensive plan, draft number 6 maybe at this point, 5, 6. And I know you're all are approaching the finish line, so congratulations for that. But you did open up this opportunity for public comment, and so I thought I'd take this opportunity. So thank you for taking one last review. My comments, I really have two points that I'd like to make. One, I think you may have addressed, but it might not have fully come through, and that is with respect to the decisions associated or the recommendations for the land use, how that relates to input from the economic development resources that we have. So maybe that's kind of already in there and considered. I would expect that the town at this point has some considerable experience with, what's gone well in Discovery Park and Superior Marketplace and Superior Newtown area, to be able to get some sense of what would be good to put there to bring the types of businesses to this area that the economic resources. So maybe you could comment on that if that's already there or not, and what's been done. The second thing is, and I realize that the vice chair is now with Louisville. And so as I look at some of these properties, most notably the Zaharias property and the Resolute property, they border on some of our neighboring communities. And when I think about, comprehensive planning, it seems to me that there might be some relationship related to the decisions that we make and the recommendations for the land use for those properties as it relates to, what they're doing. So to the extent that it would be complementary and not contradictory, so I think at least with respect to those two properties, it would be good to ensure that, there's some thought associated with what those other communities are doing for those properties. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sign in.
Sign in. Sign in.
See, I told you I needed a reminder.
Okay. We have one person on Zoom with their hand raised. There are 4 people on Zoom at the moment. 2 people have their hands raised. So I was going to say, if any of you would like to make public comment, please raise your hand. I'm seeing 2 at the moment. Nadeem Fairtsley, can we connect with you?
Nancy, if you can, Nancy.
Nadeem Fairtsley? He was just, I'm assuming, I think it's a he, is at the top of our list.
Nadine?
Yeah. Very good.
Nadeem, I think you can go ahead. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, much better. Nadeem Fursley, 435 Blackfoot Street in Sagamore. My backyard kind of faces garden storage and what is proposed as a development off 76th Street. I have certainly major concerns, and I'm not sure, can I even share a screen? If you look at Carmel Partners, they're certainly not building medium, even what we call medium density housing. They're focused on higher density housing that certainly will pollute the environment, especially light pollution, noise, and more importantly, the density of additional residents. When we in Sagamore have suffered, tell me if I can share my screen, I would have. at this point. Tremendously for the lack of water pressure, for example, in Marshall Fire, when there was no support for our neighborhood from the fire department due to the lack of water pressure. This is just one example. If we're adding hundreds more people, it's like over doubling, tripling the population almost of that very small area that faces open space. It seems like contradictory to the environment that where we live, and contradictory to the direction we should be going as a neighborhood to make sure we are protected going forward from potential. I mean, we are here in February. It's still summertime almost. I mean, climate change is in our backyard. If we have another fire, if there are other considerations and we have to evacuate, like we said, that's kind of like a major issue from a spot where you have most the commercial area of Superior between Costco and the marketplace in one location. Also understanding that annexing an unincorporated land for Superior has to bring significant value for us as residents and potential, let's say, if we consider the tax revenue, does that bring actually the value we expect for that development? I mean, understanding comprehensively this view seems like there is very little value that we see coming back to the town from making a decision to make an exception, because annexing land is not the standard process for the city. It shouldn't be. It should be an exception to a rule. And so making that exception has to bring significant value for the residents and not adding more burden on the city and its residents. So it seems like at this point, as a direction, and if you go back to seeing their projects comprehensively, they're not exactly looking at a space that is not higher density, that doesn't align with the environment. If this was downtown Superior, it'd be a very different development and projection to build the city center versus a more open spacing space. And considering all the utility issues that we've had, we should certainly take that mostly as a forefront consideration before we make any decisions forward, and reject it from this get-go if this is an exception to what we should be doing as a city, as a town. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next, we have Dialay.
Oh, like her. Can you hear me?
Yes, but I think you could speak up a little.
Okay, let me turn up my speakers a little bit. Sorry, I've got some cold crud. My name's Diana Liker. I live at 349 Shawnee Lane in Sagamore. Thanks for the opportunity to talk today. I really reiterate the comments of all of my other neighbors. I think my primary concern is the fire risk. Most of us got notices from the town this week that we are in moderate to high fire risk. We now live, and we have lived in the wildland urban interface, the WUI. And so my concern is that if you're going to use the term comprehensive and you live in an area that lived through one of the worst fires in Colorado history, you need to apply the wildfire lens to any kind of plan. It should be front and center in any form of our development moving forward. My concern too, I'm a planner. I have 25 years of experience in environmental planning, county planning. And I don't understand, similar to some of my neighbors' concern, is the town should be looking at the roads before they even start looking at build out. I heard some term like, well, what's reasonable? What's reasonable is we really have Marshall Road, 76 to get to McCaslin. It took all of our neighbors at least an hour and a half to get from the edge of Sagamore just to McCaslin. And I want you guys to understand that was before the build out in downtown Superior. And I spoke with folks at Mount View Fire, some of the firefighters, and they're like, we're very concerned about the density right now. And the Carmel developer, my neighbors did a great job explaining, I mean, it's not going to be 500 more people. If they put 2 to 4 people per unit, we're looking at like 1,200 more residents in that area. We won't get out. You've seen this in Altadena. You've seen it in Lahaina. I don't think there's a way to practically build out medium to high density unless you talk to CDOT and get new ramps put on. And that is not going to be easy, but I really struggle with jurisdictions allowing development before the infrastructure is built out first. And I think I'm sorry, I apologize to be direct, but I think this was done very backwardly, that given the fire environment, like that should be front and center for Northwest Superior. That should be the main priority, is keeping people safe. And I'll also say that, you know, they want to double the size of Sagamore and put one entrance. Those people are not going to make it out. Can you imagine trying to get 1,000 people out of it? And they're going to be rental units. That's what they're proposing. So we're not really gaining community, as I think was the goal. So I guess those are kind of my primary comments. I'd also comment that Rock Creek folks made up 87% of the comments on this parcel. We feel like the town did not reach out to those of us that were affected and did not incorporate the people that are directly impacted. I feel like our responses should have been weighted differently. And I know I've polled everybody in Sagamore. Nobody voted for medium to high density because of the fire issue. And so I think it's not appropriate. And I think it's a little bit unethical to say that 87% of the residents support medium to high density. I hope that the town and the staff can do a better job in the future, reaching out directly to us to talk about our concerns. And I look forward to hearing more about our wildfire response, because I've reached out to Allison on more than one occasion and I've heard nothing. So apologize for being grumpy. I really have a lot of PTSD from the Marshall fire. A lot of us do. We're still building back. And I really hope as neighbors that you guys will help us and take our concerns into consideration. Thank you.
No, thank you for your comments. Stephanie Bear.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Bear. I'm at 378 Blackfoot Street in Sagamore. And I also just strongly agree with everything that my neighbors have shared. My children were home alone. They saw the fire department pull up to the fire hydrant that was on our property, attach the hose. Nothing came out. They left. This trauma is real. The danger is real. And it is for anyone to think that a high density or even a medium density residency belongs behind Costco. There's no common sense to this. There is no common sense. And I just hope to God you take all of these considerations into serious consideration before moving forward. Another tragedy is coming. There will be more fires. We know that. There was a fire just right over in Cherryvale just a couple of months ago. But to increase the risks for money, so Carmel makes money. I just cannot, and we will get more Sagamore residents to come forth. Everybody is extremely concerned by this. So for us, this is the beginning. We feel very strongly about this. This is our lives, and it is a safety concern that really cannot be overlooked. We cannot stress that enough. And, you guys have a responsibility to take this seriously. So I really hope you will do that. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, ma'am. We have one other person on Zoom, Amita S. You haven't raised your hand. If you don't want to comment, that's perfectly fine. If you do, raise your hand now. Oh, there you go. Go ahead. But you're muted. Can you unmute yourself? Or is it us? Hello? We're not hearing anything. Is the problem at our end or her end?
Must be hers. As far as I can see, her mic is available. She's selected. She should be able to talk. Amita, I don't think we're hearing you yet. Oh, now it says you're muted. Again.
You might have to turn your microphone on the computer. You might have made that mistake 1,000 times on Zoom.
Yeah. It still says to ask you to unmute, so it thinks you're muted, and then you might have a microphone that you need to turn on as well.
Whoops.
Maybe she'll pop back on.
Renee, can you scroll that so we can see this constraints?
You could probably, if you want to start your discussion and leave the public hearing open.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. We should probably do that. Amita,
You don't have to close it yet.
Yeah.
If she comes back, she can comment, and if not, then you can close it later.
Okay, Amita, we're going to carry on. If you can figure out how to connect with us, that would be great. We'll come back to you. Okay. Discussion.
As constraints? Okay.
Should we bump it down to small for recommended parcel size?
I feel like that ship has sailed, but we can still
It's
add.
not approved, it hasn't sailed.
Well, this is based on community, it was based on surveys and all that stuff, so
But
unless we're going
that's
to do
still why
another survey.
But that's why we're up here. If we think it's important, we can make the change. If you're saying you don't think it's important, you don't need to do that, then that's your decision. My decision, I think it's important, you should bump it down.
I think this is a decision for more than 8 people, is what I'm saying.
But our recommendation to the other elected officials would be that we should bump it down. So that's their job. We're just passing it up the line like we're supposed to do.
My recommendation would be to add constraints.
But keep it at the same development level?
Yes.
I think they made great points, especially the interface. I wasn't here for that meeting for Zaharias because I had personal things, and there was no way I would not have made these comments back then. If we think it's important, which I do, I think we should bump it down to parcel sizes either being larger so that it's not as dense. Because I mean, if you increase the parcel size, it's less dense. Or you ask for less development. My recommendation was to take those factors into account and look to have it changed.
Can I just add that the comment about adding something about fire to this, is a good suggestion that we can include in our comments. Y'all can decide about the conversation you're having now, but I just wanted to make sure that you know that.
Or even just, instead of saying up to 2-story light industrial, take off light industrial.
I don't think I have any problem putting light industrial in there.
But I'm saying just limit everything that goes on there up to 2 stories. If you take off the word light industrial, everything has to be 2 stories. Again, these are recommendations we can make for the board to decide on.
3 stories would generally be about 40 feet. Which is,
It's 10 foot a story.
Most of the ones downtown are 3 stories, and I think they're about 40 feet high.
I was also saying 2, not 3.
No, I know, I heard. Well, do we have any other? We have one person for adding a constraint and another for adding a restriction.
So I have a question. This may go all the way back to the beginning, but how does the town of Superior even have the legal right to speculate as to what this property could be if it's not even in the city limits?
They wouldn't be coming to us. If we don't have jurisdiction over it, we wouldn't be dealing with any of this. So we can speculate what they can do with it.
I think it's anticipated that it will come, that it will be.
And if it doesn't, if it's not part of it, it's moot. But if it is supposed to be coming that way, we would have jurisdiction over it. Otherwise, there would be no reason for them to come to us. Right?
The developer would come to the town of Superior because being in unincorporated Boulder County, they can't build anything more than a single-family home on a 40-acre parcel, correct?
I'm not sure what you're saying, being in Boulder County. So then they would go to Boulder County. But if they're coming to Superior, we have jurisdiction over it. So we can
It's
say
part of the
if
3
this
mile
is part
plan
of it.
too, which is about annexation and where, there's foreseen annexation. So it's part of the 3 mile plan. And it has been for a long time. I think that might be a jurisdiction thing. Yeah.
So then are you suggesting we should just throw this whole page out? Because that's what you're saying. If we can't speculate on it, then there's no reason for any of this to be there. So you're saying just throw this page out?
I'm not saying that. I was just asking the question.
So do you think we have jurisdiction over it?
Not currently.
So then if it comes down the line and it's incorporated, we should not have a plan ready for it even though it's foreseeable? Because then if we don't have jurisdiction over it, you're saying there's no reason for this to be there.
I think you've made your point, Michael.
I'm just trying to speak for, there's clearly people who have concerns.
I know.
So it seems like everyone is just like, well, we don't have jurisdiction, forget about it. We don't have to do this. There's clearly people who care. So I just mean, if it's the same thing that happened before, when you guys went to decide on anything, you're like, we don't have the master plan yet, so I'm not going to decide on it. We have an opportunity to do something now. Do it. Or throw it away like you suggestion.
If I get it, your proposal is that we go to just single, what do you I mean?
I'm just saying we should take some of their ideas in there and definitely not say that we want how many units on there, or even like, they could be single family homes. We could go with whatever zoning is, but we could just change it to 2 stories. Because I mean, that would limit it. We could change what we want to be there to single family.
Okay, so you're saying that you would like to change the description of what could be built there to 2 stories.
I am also someone who promotes the fact that it can stay open. It could be, make it as restrictive as possible.
I think, is open space one of the area of opportunities for this? I don't see open space on there.
Yeah, it's the bottom one.
Under opportunities.
Policy connection to kind of preserve open space. But I don't
Okay.
think
It says
that- I don't think that means
potential
the
for
whole
trail
parcel.
connection to open space, not open space. So that's just saying you put a bike lane. I know, but what the opportunity says is just you can put a trail there and then connect to the open space, not that it is open space.
Well, policy connection seems to me to be preserve open space, right?
No, potential for trail connection. If I was a developer, I would read that I don't have to have open space there. I need to put a bike lane to get to open space.
But earlier you were saying that the developer doesn't have to, I mean, we don't have to pay attention to this when the developer comes in.
I'm sorry I used the word developer. As someone who has worked in the building industry, if I was putting together a plan and I see the word that says potential for trail connection, it just says I have to put a trail connection. I do not have to put open space. That's what that says. If it says a potential for trail connection to open space, it's not saying open space. It's the same reason why you drive on a parkway. It's a way to a park. It's not a park.
Well, maybe we could just add potential for trail connection to open space or open space.
What's it say under trails? No, we would already have that covered.
But is this one of the open space, has the Open Space Committee identified this as an open space potential area?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Okay, I mean, that's their job, I mean, right, and like, I look at that, that's their job to do that.
So I think that this property, because it's part of the 3 Mile Plan and it has been for a while, it's considered as a possible property to annex into the town, which is why it is an opportunity area for the comprehensive plan. And I believe that the Open Space and Trails Master Plan speaks to this property as well. So I don't know what it says about this property, but
It's in the plan.
I believe that they speak to it in the plan. So presumably, if any potential developer came to develop this property, they would look here for direction on uses. They would look at what they should be considering. They would look at the constraints of the site. We should add the wildland urban interface to the constraints. And then they would propose a development and you all would look at it and determine whether, it aligns generally with this and the master plan for the open space and the transportation plan and, emergency management and all the things that we are talking about. But those should be considered with a development proposal. The big picture items that we should look for should be covered on this page. So for sure, constraint would be that it's in the wildland urban interface, and we should consider the fact that any development here notes that. That is missing. What else should we look at? I
just think building
For the
scale.
purpose of this particular plan, I know we're scrutinizing this particular property because there's a proposed development here that you had a concept plan and neighborhood meeting on, but the same goes on all of the other opportunity zones. We shouldn't be looking at this as though the concept plan that y'all have seen recently for this site is the end-all be-all. And that, there could be something completely different there, or it could be but it could be something that isn't reflected in the concept plan. You'll get to, if they submit an application for this annexation, you will have the opportunity to hear from all these folks and staff and other community members and amongst yourselves with regard to that specific development, heights, setbacks, building scale, density, open space, all of those things, transportation, emergency management, like everything that goes along with a development application will be reviewed at the time of a development application. I don't know.
I think, Amanda, you wanted to add the wildfire use constraint,
I
right?
just think we should handle this the same way we did with Zaharias, where they had a big concern with traffic, and we added that as a constraint.
Well, I think here,
And here, we're hearing that the wildfire interface is a problem, and also, exits, and which might be traffic as well.
I think traffic.
And I think we should add those constraints, and then when a developer comes, yes, they have these available things, but at the same time, like, maybe they do a little dense thing by the road that's easy to evacuate. And, Renee had said, like, leaving it more open as far as the uses is okay, as long as we have these constraints and other things that we're looking at as well. So that it's not just, oh, I can cram this many units in because of this one thing. No, you can't. You have to look at all these other things as well, and we'll get more community input at the time.
As far as I can see, we don't actually have a definition on this one for what we mean by medium density residential.
I need to go through all of these from like the building scale perspective and the like the definitions for what the recommended land use the land use recommendations, what they say, and how that relates to building scale and dwelling units per acre on all of these. So look for that update.
So should we recommend, though, that you want to change the building scale? Because that seems to be the issue.
Well, I mean, if we...
Or maybe just define the building scale a little better.
If we want to recommend this, then I think it will be subject to a review of all the subject to that, to the review you're talking about doing.
If you're saying you don't want to make a recommendation this evening, and your recommendation would be like not to recommend approving, but what you could discuss is what you want to decide, what medium density residential land use, not medium density from the zoning code means.
Well, we know what medium density from the zoning code means.
Right.
We're not clear on what medium density from the land use means. And I think what we're saying is it would be helpful to know in recommending something some of these you actually have 25 to 35 units, or I think the Superior Marketplace had 25 to 35 units somewhere, doesn't it?
Yeah, it has a building scale.
A building scale up there. I think
This down here, so, right.
I'm not even.
So
We've sort of
One would
glossed-
assume it would be less than that.
correct, right. So like if we are talking multi-unit to medium density residential, that would be less than what was shown on like here, because this is medium to high density.
You have an estimate of what it would be, assuming multi-unit to medium?
So I think when we were talking about this, you wanted to change this number to a lower number. So 10 to 25 would be low to medium, or I guess 5 to 25 would be low to medium, 10 to 25 or 15 to 25 would be medium density. Like, I don't know if you need to get that granular on this or not.
Well, we have the page of building types, right?
Yes.
does that need to be reworked?
I think we just need to clarify when we say medium
Yeah.
density
That's
residential,
15 to
like
25.
where the, yeah, so multi-unit residential and medium density, so this is mix of medium to higher density housing. So there's like some clarification, because medium is likely up to 25 and maybe lower than 15 perhaps. But then high density would be like, 25 to 35 dwelling units per acre.
Okay.
Because down below, when we say medium to high, we made the range up to 35 dwelling units per acre. So there are, for sure, we're missing something between the 2 to 6 and 15 to 25. Like, yes, I recognize this.
Yeah, and then so attached is 6 to
12.
12.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
So
somewhat
should
in
it be
the middle.
rearranged, just for when you're doing it, should it just be ranged by density size, not by, because it looks like it's alphabetical, like single unit residential detached will come after attached.
Right.
So it should just be
The opposite
in
way,
size,
yeah.
Are these densities sort of standard for planning, or is this something that's peculiar to Superior?
There's standard, they're like, there's best management practices for like what low density, medium density, and high density are, but they also vary depending on where your community is located. Like high density in Denver is different than what we would consider high density for Superior.
Oh, I see, yeah.
So that there's a roundabout way of answering. It's not an exact science, but there are like best management practices for.
I mean, what helped me to understand the densities that have occurred in Superior, the Wheat Cottages is a density per acre of 6.56. So it's 29 units and 4.42 acres. Sagamore is 171 homes in 26.87 acres, or 6.36 homes per acre.
Well, that's partly because they're all single-family detached residences.
Right. So I mean, anyway, again, I said before, I would prefer to have both 76 and Zaharias, something lower density, maybe in that no more than 8 or 10, maybe 12. That's what I would like to see. Because I think the thing that we're talking about, diversity of housing, the thing we're missing is starter homes or duplexes. A low cost as possible for homes for purchase.
I think you need to do this multi-unit residential. You need to add like a medium and then a high and separate those out.
And then when we call medium density down here, it'll still have those ranges of, 10 to 25, 10 to 20 dwelling units per acre.
Yeah, because this says townhomes in it for building scale, which I would think would be that 6 to 12.
Nope, that was the higher. 6 to 6 to 12 was that, but I think the issue is people don't want that. It sounds like people, if you have to build something there, it should be single family, detached.
I think this is a very vocal minority. I'm sorry,
but they have the most skin in the game.
It's 6 people.
Well, come on. So I think
no, it's not just 6 people. But the thing is, did you evacuate during the fire?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so imagine you threw that many more people in front of you on trying to get out. How long did it take you to get out?
Multiple hours. I was
the
in
issue.
a small car with 3 children, a dog, 4 birds, and was waiting for the birds to drop as I was sitting there.
So then imagine you had to take more time. And we all saw how well that
So are you saying that we should build no more houses in Superior because
Did
of
I
that?
say no more houses, or did I say that if they needed to build something, it should be single-family detached?
So I want to I want to take it back here. I want to say
it's
that
not a distraction because
these,
we're trying to see if we're going to take their stuff into account.
these recommendations come through like lots of there are lots of community input that we received through
And only
this
single home,
process. And so
family homes does not help our affordability. There's just multiple things where it's not all based just on one thing.
Agreed. But I think one of the things that is going on now are the people who it would affect are here saying that they would like it different. And since this is the comprehensive plan and it has not been approved, this is our opportunity to make a recommendation that instead of being that density, we could scale it back. If you're saying you don't want to do that, then you don't want to do that. But I personally want to do that.
I think that's a fair, so I think as part of our conversation this evening, we're looking to make recommendations on like minor changes to this. If you want to make a recommendation and to approve the plan with modifications to the land use category at 76th and Guardian property to add, low density residential to the primary land uses, and you all agree that that's your recommendation, then you can make that recommendation. The other changes we've talked about that we've made notes in, like, we can do between now and council, especially between now and when council makes the recommendations. But something like this would be part of your recommendation when you move to recommend approval of the comprehensive plan to the town council, you would say as amended, and then you would say like, if there's any specific amendments and changes that you want to make to like the recommended land uses or the medium density, like definition of medium density, like defining that to be a specific dwelling units per acre, we can put those in your recommendation. If y'all agree.
That's what we've done when we've had developments where we thought the general development was okay, but we didn't like particular aspects of it.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'd add low density. It's low density in Zaharias.
But I think we suggested something earlier, is that she should go through all of these. And it shouldn't be just this one property because we're talking about that property. We should go through all of this and align them. And I think you said earlier you were going to do that. I think that's the recommendation that we need to make, to say, you need to get this aligned, because it's confusing to us, so it's got to be confusing to other people. The other thing that I think we really need to add back as the constraint is that on the 76 property is the transportation. I don't know how we missed that as an issue. I mean, it should be the very first one. It should almost be highlighted, right? Because of that needs to get fixed before, regardless of what we do there.
I did not mean to do that.
If it's not too general, I mean, we could recommend the plan subject to a review of all the, however we phrase it, of all the land use, and building scale, building scale, building scale, land use and zoning recommendations prior to final acceptance.
But then we wouldn't see it again? We wouldn't see it again, right? If we went that route, we wouldn't see it again. It would go straight to council.
It would go to, if you're making a recommendation to bring it back, then you would be making a recommendation to recommend not approving this plan and to bring it back later with changes.
But we would just have to say that, though, right?
Correct.
But it's going to the town council. Either,
We approve it.
no, either way, it's going to the town council. It doesn't need our approval.
Correct.
We are not an approval, we are just recommending.
You would be
Yeah.
recommending that they not approve it, that they, and then,
Right.
and you can state why.
Yep.
And then we bring that recommendation to the council.
Right, either way, it's going to them.
And you can make recommendations for what you want to, the changes that you want to see, and then recommend approval, the same way you can make recommendations and deny. It's all a recommendation, they'll still go to council.
I mean, the schedule that's been set up, is that set in stone? I mean, we could say, geez, revise it again, and we'll meet again on the 18th and review it. We could do that as well, right?
But it'll still go to council.
Same time, oh, that's what I was
It's
wondering.
going to council on Monday.
And if
No matter
It's
what.
being presented
No matter-
to council on Monday.
It's going there no
and
matter
then
what, all right.
It's going to council again, so that's just a first reading, but your recommendation to them will be part of that conversation. So whatever y'all decide tonight will go in the packet for council tomorrow, or like, I'll put it in council packet tomorrow, and it'll be heard at the council meeting on Monday. And they are not making a decision on Monday. So changes can still be made and comments can still be added between now and whenever they make a recommendation.
I actually have a fair degree of faith in the council. I mean, I think based on the, you're looking very skeptical.
I mean,
Well, I wanted to suggest a compromise. So there's been a lot of discussion about the missing middle. The reason it's called missing is because we're not building that type of housing anymore.
Because you can't.
No, we can, it's just not profitable.
So, well, that's it.
It's not as profitable as multifamily. So a developer has come forward with a multifamily proposal, and of course, their bottom line is what matters to them. But maybe what matters to the community is the opportunity for missing middle housing. So the compromise can be to reduce the proposed density for this parcel. Not low density, not medium density, but something that fits the missing middle model, which is duplexes, townhomes,
But, yes.
starter homes.
But that's basically where I was going, that we would recommend that, we would recommend that the plan reduce the density on basically all of the definitions, because we think that, we think that I haven't quite figured out how to say this, we're basically a low-density community, not a high-density community.
Well, we're a little of both now.
Yeah.
Sorry?
We're some of both now.
We're a little of both with downtown Superior. That is considered urban density. You know, and maybe another thing to take into consideration, traditional town development advocates or proponents talk about a density gradient where the center of the community is high density. So if you look at that on a regional scale, downtown Denver is high density. Parts of Boulder County are low density, and there should be a gradient from high density to low density from the center outward. So sort of what this is proposing or envisioning now is high density right on the edge of rural land. So something that fits between high density or medium density and low density could be a good fit here.
I mean, I'd support 8 to 10 dwelling units per acre.
Yeah, I think you have a really good point on this missing middle and recommending that somewhere. Because right now I'm not seeing middle housing anywhere, which would be duplexes and.
Yeah, if we just leave it up to the developers, they're going to look for the most return on investment.
And we're seeing that here in Zaharia, it's all apartments. That's where they're getting the most money.
Yeah.
And that's not, I don't think that's what we need. I think we're going to have plenty of apartments in Superior.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But I'm also thinking not single-family homes, like this missing middle.
Yeah, duplexes, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it, I'd say the same thing for Zaharis. We should reduce the dwelling units per acre there. I mean, that's, the community feedback was the same way. They were worried about so many people there in traffic, so the solution is lower density there as well.
And we should be encouraging new housing that can be owned as opposed to
think so,
rented.
too.
Well, and maybe the recommendation, because of the time constraint here, is we make this recommendation to the town council that they should, as a part of this, they should focus or heavily consider the density of the opportunity areas and make sure that it aligns with what the goals of the town are, right? I mean, because at the end of the day, we can sit here all day and argue this like we have been, but they're going to make the decision on it. But what we want them to do is hear us, right? We want them to hear that we have concerns about this, and I think if we can craft that some way, and it looks like you're already trying to craft it. I mean, if we can craft that some way to say, hey, we have concerns that the density doesn't align with the goals of what Superior wants. Please look at this as you address this, rather than us trying to wordsmith this and we won't get that done tonight, right? We're not going to get that done.
I have, let me start with this, and feel free to comment or correct it. Oh, sorry.
That's your job.
That's it. Yeah, that was what Lonnie was always doing, actually.
Hey, David, can I interrupt you really quick? You haven't closed the public hearing, and although the person never came back and raised their hand, now everybody who's already spoken is raising their hand. So you might want to just close the public hearing so that they understand what's going on.
Okay, fine. Seeing no more raised hands, I'll close the public hearing. Close. What I have at the moment is recommend acceptance with a review of building scale, land use, and zoning to reduce the density to levels that consider wildfire risk traffic and wildfire risk traffic and the goals addressed in the plan, where I was trying to think of what's in Shape Superior. This doesn't sound, would anybody like to improve on this for me?
It's pretty good. I mean, I don't know if the word goals is the right word. I don't know.
I don't think.
Yeah.
I think you should put something in there that addresses this missing middle housing, that's the duplexes and that stuff.
Well, we can say that the town of Superior encourages missing middle housing development. And then we could get a little better definition of missing middle in the glossary.
We could say, consider wildfire risk traffic and focuses on issues like middle missing housing. Let me try again. Recommend acceptance with a review of building scale, land use, and zoning to reduce the density to level density of housing to levels that consider wildfire risk traffic and focus on issues like missing middle housing.
And maybe we strike the part that says to multifamily. I could say duplexes or townhomes.
I think you're right. I mean, with 8 of us here, we could sit here until, maybe it's even, no, it's 8 of us, isn't it? We could sit here till midnight trying to craft this, and I'm not sure our midnight effort would actually be any better. I mean, I think overall that there's a lot of work gone into the plan. There's a lot of interesting information in the plan, and I don't really want to go backwards. At the same time, I'm getting the sense that we're not really we're not very happy with the final, as a planning commission, we're not necessarily very happy with the final results in terms of the recommendations. And so I think I'm trying to craft something which is constructive but sends a message that this needs a little more work. Does that seem, fair?
Yeah, I think so. And it gives Renee time in this to develop this. Like I'm assuming you'll go into that meeting with some recommendations, whether they're in there or whatever, that it gives you time to do that as part of the staff, so.
And I mean, I'm hopeful that there'll be, I would actually expect that, I mean, based on the Zaharias review and so on, that the council will actually be quite sympathetic to this because, I mean, they obviously weren't in favor of however many units were proposed in the Garrett concept plan, even though nearly all of them were actually affordable housing of one kind or another. Comments, questions?
Do we dare try to define or give some range for density units per acre?
I'm going to turn that over to our professional staff.
I mean, that's what really, it's going to come down to that at some point.
Well, yes, but I mean, the densities per acre, I don't think I'm trying to rule out multifamily housing or apartments completely. And the densities for that per acre would be very different from the differences.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think I could pick one range. I'd end up picking 2 or 3, which would be
And
rather...
I think it would make sense in some spots, like in Superior Marketplace, especially
Yes.
next to the RTD, therefore having better transportation options. But yeah, I do think that maxing out, because it seems like, I don't think our intention in this was for developers to come, take our range of units per acre, the acres, the maximum of it, and the maximum acres and the maximum units, and like we're seeing developers just maximize, and that's not the intent that we had here.
So I have a question. Does this just apply to 76th Street and Zaharias as far as?
Or is it all opportunity areas?
No. I think it applies to the marketplace as well. I mean, I certainly don't want to see 600, personally would prefer not to see 600 units built in the marketplace.
Okay. But we're not talking about missing middle or starter homes at the marketplace.
Yeah, there would be, I don't see townhomes.
Well, I'm just
I see
saying,
townhomes at the marketplace
Right.
or,
Yeah, I mean,
General statement.
I have said and focus on issues like middle missing.
okay.
Would you like to actually give our recommendations for the parcel size? Because you could just go each one and say, we think this, that, and that.
No, I don't think I want to try.
Agree.
And it's not up to us.
I know, I'm just giving
Giving them
opportunity for us to have some
recommendations, I
input.
mean, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not going to go through 6 properties and try and figure out tonight how many.
I think it's just 76 and Zaharias.
No, I mean, it's the marketplace, it would be Discovery, it would be Original Town,
So,
Resolute, yeah,
residents, so different.
yeah.
Well, I mean, they are very different.
But anytime a development comes up, any neighboring residents would also
Yeah.
chime in. I think we're gonna have this everywhere,
It is, that's true.
and
I mean, my general feeling is that lower, I mean, at this point, I'm willing to say lower is better than higher.
I
But I'm not
just
gonna try and-
worry that we're
I'm not
harpooning
really
our
gonna
affordable
try and
housing.
Say how low is low or how high is high.
I worry that we're getting rid of our affordable housing by saying, oh, we want low everywhere.
But the problem with affordable housing is that affordable housing is the most expensive housing you can build if it's new housing.
It's
I
good
was-
to have lofty goals.
I heard a presentation at lunchtime today from the executive director of the Boulder Housing, the place on North Broadway,
And it's not just affordable, like density also supports economic, it's just, I'm just saying, we're juggling a bunch of
I know.
goals that are, and so I think maybe looking at defining the units and that kind of thing is good, but at the same time, I don't think we should just do single-family homes in our town. I think we should do missing middle. I think we should do some multi-units that can hopefully be a little bit more attainable and support our economic centers.
Well, we've also discussed that we'd like some for sale as well as some for rent. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you're right. There's a lot of alternatives. I think, I mean, if I've heard anything tonight, it's that in general, I think we prefer lower density to higher densities. Is that fair?
I don't like saying that we prefer lower density to higher density, because what we're hearing is people are concerned about traffic and being able to evacuate. So if we can answer the density issue with better infrastructure, we're not asking for lower density.
Okay, well, in that case, I haven't actually said lower density. I've just said focus on issues like middle missing housing.
I thought you said it earlier
We
in
said
there.
reduce, we said.
Oh, to reduce the density.
I want the density to be aligned with making sure that we're a prepared and resilient community, which would mean that we can't, we exit quickly.
But maybe that's the
Then
word.
that comes in the
but
plan
maybe
development.
that's the word you change. Instead of reduce, you align the density.
Okay, I'll align the
Align
density.
to what he just said.
I think align is a much better word.
It is a better word.
It's a better word.
It's a
It's
much-
definitely a better word.
Yeah.
That's why you're the vice chair.
That's why.
Hey, I earned my paycheck, great.
Okay, we've driven them out now.
Yeah.
Well,
Sir, thank you very much for coming. Okay, so I now have recommend acceptance with a review of building scan, land use and zoning to align the density of housing to levels that consider wildfire risk traffic and focus on issues like missing middle housing.
the only thing I think of to satisfy you is do we put in there, do we add affordable housing in that?
Or attainable.
Okay, yeah,
Let's do
exactly.
attainable.
Oh, no, let's not, okay, it's gonna be another hour, yeah.
Okay.
No, I just,
I mean, affordable and attainable doesn't take long to write.
No, I know,
Is it,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
isn't attainable the same as the missing middle?
yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not good with the words. I'm an engineer.
I mean, couldn't we, I mean,
I would rather not put affordable housing because affordable housing has technical definitions in it, right? I mean, the people who run, the people in the housing business will say affordable housing means 30% or 60% of AMI, and the rest of the world will not distinguish between affordable and attainable. So
All right, middle missing.
So it'd be
is supposed to be attainable. Right?
Attainable housing
just
in
saying-
rentals?
sorry?
Yes.
Attainable housing ownership in rental.
I'm not specifying whether it's owned or rental either.
We're gonna
It's fine.
fix that, right, we're gonna fix that,
That's going to be fixed by,
the affordable, attainable
by
housing, we're gonna fix that.
Renee. Okay. Have I got to a point where I could call the question?
Sure, give it a shot.
Give it a shot. Okay. Well, hang on a second. I need to find the damn question, which I actually have here, by the way. Or at least I had it here not long ago.
No, I have the other one.
Okay. Here's your first assignment, Mr. Vice Chairman.
You made me read it?
Yes, you don't have to read the whole thing,
Just the
just the
bold,
top.
yeah.
And then don't forget to say subject to the following recommendation, at which point I will add
Okay, you're gonna read that
slowly
off?
so that Bree can capture it.
All right,
Well, I think we've got.
okay. I'd like to make a motion for a resolution of the Planning Commission of the Town of Superior recommending approval of the 2025 Comprehensive Plan, given,
Subject
subject to,
a review of building scale, land use, and zoning to align the density of housing with levels that consider wildfire risk, traffic, and focus on issues like missing middle housing. Got it? Thank you, thank you. Now, would somebody like to second it?
I will second it.
Very good. I think we need a roll call, don't we?
All right. Chairman Harper,
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn,
Yes.
Commissioner Witt,
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes.
I don't know. I think we should have some numbers in there, but it also strikes me it doesn't matter what we're doing really.
Oh, it matters. I mean, we have to take it seriously.
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Commissioner Gordon.
No, because we should put numbers on there.
Commissioner Mojo.
Yes.
Commissioner Gross.
Yes.
Commissioner Shanahan.
Yes.
Thank you. I think that comes out at 6-2.
Yeah,
I sympathize with your numbers thing. I'm a numbers guy myself, but I can't see coming up with the right numbers between now and 9 o'clock.
Chairman Harper, will you pass, Chairman Harper, will you pass me the paper with the recommendation so I can make sure I got it right?
Yes.
Thank you.
But you have to be able to read my writing in order to...
I'll try my best.
And I actually... Okay, believe it or not, we are not finished. We have two more items. Actually, we have two more items on the agenda, which are updates to the town's municipal code. Renee, do you want to give us a brief overview of the two? Oh, sure. Would anybody like a break? I'd like a break. Okay. I must admit, I'm getting quite thirsty.
5 minutes or less.
Water, yeah.
5 minutes if you can make it back.
town council splits it into 2 meetings.
Yeah.
Do we need him to open the meeting back up? Is that what we need? Okay. Well, he has to open the meeting.
Need to open the meeting.
No, we need to, sorry.
Yeah.
Reopen the planning commission meeting.
What item are we on?
And we are on item
Item 5B.
5B.
Good evening. Moving on, we are working on some land use amendments to our land use code in chapter 16. This evening, we're presenting changes to allow EV charging as a principal and accessory uses in accordance with the tables here. Section 16-6-120, Schedule of Uses and Requirements in Chapter 16. We're looking to add EV charging as a primary use at the end of all of the tables. And then the X's, the C's, and the P's are in alignment with what's in the code. So X means not permitted, C is conditional, and P is permitted. So that would mean that in all residential zone districts, EV charging as a principal use is not allowed. In the BC zone district, it's allowed as a conditional use. In the
What is BC?
business community business, this is regional business, and this is off, what is O? Now I don't know. There are currently no properties zoned as BR or BO in town. And then MU, it would not be permitted. Conditional means that it goes through an additional review process before the council in order to get approval.
Can you give us examples of what's a business, what's an example of that business?
A BC zone district. Currently, the property across from Town Hall and one of the properties adjacent to Asti Park that had the proposed rezoning are zoned BC currently.
And what would this look like? This is principal use. What, it would just be a bunch of chargers in a parking lot?
That's correct. It would be an allowed use as a principal use, so there wouldn't have to be an established principal use on the property in order to add EV charging. Could be a parking lot with solar paneled, things. It could just be a parking lot with EV charging, a whole bunch of chargers. It could be, 2 chargers installed on a lot. It's allowing it as its only as a single use on a lot. The state passed House Bill 241173, which talks about requirements for municipalities to add EV charging allowances for residential, commercial, and basically for uses. So like you have to call out if it's an allowed primary or accessory use in zone districts rather than just leaving it ambiguous in the code. It also talks about proposed developments. So what's not included in the land use code is the requirements for EV charging stations on proposed development parcels. That will be talked about in part of the model energy code that is going to council on the 23rd. So all of the tables for the required number of electric vehicle charging stations in new developments will be part of a separate code and not part of the discussion this evening. But this evening, we're talking about adding the allowed uses in zone districts in specifically this chapter on use of schedule of uses and requirements. It does not require us to allow them as a principal use in residential developments, but it does require that we allow it as a principal or conditional use in commercial and industrial zone districts. So I took the requirements of the EV code from the state and I created the allowance when necessary, where it would make sense for a primary use. And then we allow them as an accessory use in all zone districts, which we currently already do. It's just not stipulated in our code. So if you have a EV car and if you have an EV, an electric vehicle, then you can install a charging station at your house. We allow them to be installed in parking lots. So you'll see them at Target. And they're allowed to be, they're allowed to replace existing parking spaces currently. It's just not stipulated in our code that that's allowed. So this is clarifying that EV charging as an accessory use is allowed anywhere and that it's allowed as a principal use, which would just be, it could go on a property without any other use on it. In industrial zone districts, and then in regional and office, business, commercial zone districts.
Where would be like the Target, the chargers that are over by Target, which district do they fall in?
So that's a PD.
Okay.
So it's in the marketplace.
Okay.
But
So it'd be-
I guess the point is that we already allow them to be installed if a property owner wants them to be installed, but this allowing them as an accessory use clarifies that we actually do allow them to be installed.
And is there any number? Like I have two cars at home. I only have one charger, but I've thought about putting a second one in. Does it, no limits on the number?
No.
We have one too. I don't know that we got approval for it.
There's a building permit process for installing chargers. It goes straight through the building department. So,
But this is just a charger stance.
Solar panels and it's off of our battery for our solar panels, so I don't know.
la, la, la.
This is an open proceeding, just so you know. But is this saying that you could install like what's at Target as just on a lot on its own? Essentially?
If your property is zoned BR, BO, IL, or IH, yes. But they would have to have a site plan because those properties zoned as that are commercially zoned properties which require a site development plan process. So they would also have to meet landscape requirements and other things that are applicable in our code for site development plans. It would just be like, instead of a building, being proposed, they'd be proposing an EV charging lot.
You'd be proposing a parking lot.
Yes, in essence.
I don't think we should be encouraging more parking lots.
Is that, so it wouldn't be in residential then?
Correct.
Correct, okay.
And I purposefully chose these zone districts. Because
we
the
actually
regional
have a
and
choice?
the R and the O are the much larger developments in bigger centers. So they wouldn't, we wouldn't be rezoning a property in original town to something larger. The business commercial is conditional so that it would have to be reviewed by you all as part of a conditional use for the zoning purposes before it even came to a site development plan process.
So it's not a use of right?
Correct. It is in the BR, BO, IL, and IH but it's conditional in the BC and not permitted as a primary use in mixed use or any residential development, residentially zoned property. Do we want to go through both of them? Priya, should we do recommendations on each? I think we should do a recommendation on each chapter. Both of them, okay, so then that's the first.
Would you like to do a recommendation on that one now, or should we?
We'll wait and I'll go through this second one, and then you
Okay.
can ask more questions if you have them, and then we can do recommendations. So the second change this evening is in property drainage and stormwater. So we regularly receive complaints from residents who have whose properties are adversely affected by drainage conditions originating from an adjacent property. So if you are dumping water off of your property and it's going on to your neighbor's property, that's the situation we're talking about. And currently our code doesn't talk about that circumstance. If you're not draining onto town property, then then it's not covered as part of the land use code or chapter 11. So this evening's proposed changes are for chapter 11 and chapter 16 related to stormwater drainage and management, designed to clarify standards and limit the impacts of runoff on adjacent property owners. So we are, it's not on this sheet, the proposed change to chapter 16 is adding a new section under 161120. Oops, no, sorry. That's the other one. Utilities, here we go. Oh my God. This is the wrong, that's why. There it is. Okay. Section 1620-20. Hereby amended with the addition of a new section 1626-20E. All gutters, pipes, sump pump discharges, discharge pipes, and leaders used for conducting runoff water or groundwater from buildings or private property in the town, or which may be constructed and used for such purposes, shall be constructed such that no runoff is allowed to flow upon an adjoining property, and such flow of water shall be carried or directed to flow on to a proper drainage area or into an appropriate storm drain pipe. It also eliminates 11-1-40C1. I wish I had that section, but it's unnecessary given the addition of this section of the code.
Can you explain the difference between, you said we already have an existing code for if my property drains onto town property, you said there's already code for that?
Yes.
And what is that state?
So we have requirements for properties to drain to the street or an alley or into a drainage, into like a storm drain pipe.
Yep.
And then it flows out into, our storm drainage system. So any extra water that comes off of a property that doesn't drain to a public facility is what we're talking about here, and our current code doesn't address that.
And so like going across a sidewalk, the sidewalks are owned by the town, right? So like coming, like we have this in our neighborhood right now. That's why it's two sump pumps drain and they come across and they go down and they go right onto the town sidewalk and it's ices up it's ice right now. I don't think it's ice today anymore.
So depending on the property ownership, if it's your property draining onto public right-of-way, then it would be your responsibility to fix that. And our current code allows us to do a violation notice to you for improper drainage and not maintaining it and creating an unsafe circumstance over sidewalks or whatever like that.
So that's a good example of the existing code.
Yeah.
Now, if my sump pump is discharging into my neighbor's yard and is causing them either some undue thing, that's what this is about?
That's correct.
Okay, got it. Okay, thank you.
Sorry, it's late and I am not speaking well anymore.
No, that's, I thought that's, you explained it well, I just wanted to understand what it is. Okay.
So Renee, is this retroactive or is this only for new construction?
This would be for any property anywhere in town. It would come into compliance. So if you make a change, it would be. I said that's a good question. I think
because all of a sudden, everybody that has water draining off their neighbor's property is going to file a claim.
I think the idea is that if something substantially changes from the day that this goes into play, so it's not necessarily only for new developments. It does apply to existing residences, but I'm not sure that you could claim that your adjacent property did something last year that's negatively affecting you now. But if it's a persistent problem, I think that's the point of this code. So
what if the site development plan, the drainage plan, was approved by the building department to flow over a sidewalk, and then you approve this ordinance, you update this land use code provision, then you can come back and cite the property owner that you previously approved their site plan?
if it's public property, then the code already you can't create an unsafe circumstance. If your property, if your drainage drains over a sidewalk and it ices over, it's already your responsibility to ensure that it doesn't ice over the sidewalk. So the current code already prohibits you negatively affecting public right-of-way. Whether or not, are you talking about in downtown, like a new development?
The scenario is Toll Brothers built a house.
Mm-hmm.
They get a building permit from the building department.
Mm-hmm.
That site plan has to show drainage.
Correct.
The building department approves it.
Mm-hmm.
Toll Brothers builds it. The sidewalk ices up. The homeowner gets cited under this new provision.
It's not even about the sidewalk. It's just if you have a house that's sloped this way, it goes into here, then you're in trouble. So it's going into adjacent property, not an adjoining property, not public right of way.
We already reviewed for this anyway. You're not allowed to drain onto your neighbor's property. We wouldn't approve a plan like that. Right?
Right. So I think you're there's.
Right, this is already in the building code.
There is the drainage requirements for a site when we're building new developments, we have a process for ensuring that properties drain appropriately. What happens is that we issue a certificate of occupancy, the site drains accordingly, and then you landscape your property or you add a walkway and a patio and create an alternative drainage pattern to what was approved with your certificate of occupancy. And over time, that impacts your neighbor. That's what this is for. It is not talking about impacting public rights of way. We already have code for that.
What if there's like, so that, let's say multiple backyards go to one single drainage ditch? It would, you know, you guys got to get your water out of your backyard all in that drainage ditch. It'll probably go across
Yes,
your
so the
neighbors.
swales go between at property lines typically. So like your property will drain, if you're higher than the next property to the next property to the next property, the intention is that your property drains back to this line and then it drains down between the properties to the nearest storm drainage.
So that would kind of be grandfathered in.
Yeah, that's the approved drainage pattern. So this is talking about direct adverse impacts of changes to a particular property on adjacent property owners. So you redirect your sump pump, instead of it draining to the property line and out, it drains directly onto your neighbor's property and creates an adverse impact on their property that they can then document and show that it is directly coming from the adjacent property.
Will this provision state that as a result of modification, change drainage patterns would be the responsibility of the drainer? Because I don't think it says that.
It does not say that.
I'm just worried this is going to open a huge can of worms.
It's also, what's the rate? Is it a 100-year storm, a 50-year storm, or is it just a spritz outside? Because like if you get a 100-year storm, it's going to roll off. It's going to run off. It doesn't say, but it also doesn't say if it's subsurface or surface runoff. Because no matter what, if my foundation's leaking, I can blame the person next to me because they're uphill. Because it's the word no runoff, not like mitigated or minimal. It's just water is what kills buildings. So, I mean, it's just the thing where you're opening up, if anything is wrong, I'm suing my neighbor. And now you have legal precedent.
And it sounds like, I mean, some running down the property line is still kind of on someone's property.
Well, also, we have expansive soils here, so a lawsuit could be
Enclaves.
significant.
Yeah.
So if y'all don't like the language, you can recommend other alternative language. You could recommend questions and this is not something that is typical in land use code or municipal code per se. Usually we focus on what drains onto, property that is owned by the municipality. But because we've had so many issues with adverse conditions affecting neighbors from neighboring properties, we wanted to create an avenue for the town to address some of the concerns.
Who keeps calling you?
Yeah, so this is, in other words, Rennie, this is code enforcement. You can already sue your neighbor if they're adversely
Correct.
affecting your
Absolutely.
property.
Yes.
This is just about adding code enforcement so the town can intervene.
Yes, thank you.
Is this going to add more work for the town or less work?
My neighbor annoys me, it rains, I'm calling.
I mean, currently, we receive a lot of phone calls about this, so we'll still receive phone calls. We just have an avenue for,
Well, like
you know.
with most of the site plans that are over 10 years old, and what was it, like 10 years ago, where you could finally retain water on your site, you had to get it off your site as quickly as possible. So if it's not retroactive, if you technically can make an argument, I mowed my lawn too short, so now more runoff's happening.
Although I do like that it says gutters, pipes, sump pump, discharge pipes, and leaders. So it's saying stuff people added, kind of.
True, but then it says, shall be constructed so that no runoff is allowed.
The no is disturbing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has legal looked at this?
Yes.
Okay, does that not, how do you answer the no, like?
I mean, I didn't draft it myself, Nick, the town council attorney drafted it.
We based it on a variety of codes in other municipalities. It's kind of a compilation of codes. It is, like I said, it's not common per se to have in the land use or building.
Well, why don't you say something like such that runoff does not adversely affect the adjoining property?
That could be in your recommendation.
I think it's what Michael said. I think that's good.
What's a proper drainage area? Is that defined?
It would be swales that are established on property lines or across the property if it's not on the property line.
But
typically they're on property lines, but they would be that, like, they're called out in drainage plans and master plans, like on when properties were developed, they were developed with proper drainage as part of the plan.
Yeah.
Could you use the word like you do in the next, could you say appropriate drainage area or into an appropriate storm instead of proper does sound like almost a defined term. But I mean, again, you guys might be just arguing about nits and gnats here.
Seems like it should at least be the same word, either proper in both places or appropriate in both places.
Appropriate seems to give a little more latitude.
I sort of agree with that because proper.
It's very English, isn't it?
Very English. We're all being proper.
I mean, also if it's being carried or directed to flow to a proper drainage. So if you just have like a 1 degree crook in your pipe towards it, you're compliant. But if it's 1 degree the other way, they're not compliant anymore.
Depending where the hill is, depending on how you drain, right? I mean, there's a lot of it. I mean, unfortunately, Superior, a lot of it's built on hills. That's the problem. That's why you get the calls. Yeah.
Just curious.
Yeah.
Just curious, what's the code violation if someone's, the town determines someone is violating this?
Well, you would be in violation of this section of the code, but you would have to, like, there would have to be documentation of the adverse impact that then our code enforcement could cite. So we typically, someone calls the code enforcement officer that there's a violation, and then there'll be documentation and a process by which the town can determine whether or not it's a real violation or not a real violation. And then if it is, then you can issue a violation notice to the property that's adversely affecting. And then it goes through the court system.
And notice of violations gives property owners time to correct and comply. So it's not, oh, you're in violation, you're automatically going into court, you're automatically paying fines. The notice of violation is usually just to put the property owners on notice that there's a violation and they're not in compliance with the code, and it allows them the opportunity to correct it. And it gives them usually adequate time to do so. And then if it is corrected by the compliance date, then it doesn't go any further.
Thank you.
No problem.
I missed that part.
So if my driveway is draining onto my neighbor's property, and they call the town, and I get cited, do I have to rebuild my driveway?
Well, it says that if you build a gutter pipe, sump pump, discharge pipes, and leaders in such a way that they don't drain to somewhere appropriate, then you're in violation. It doesn't say if this doesn't even cover if, like, you just have a slope.
My property is in violation, and I didn't build it, and I didn't modify it. And if I vote
So
for
it has
this,
a gutter
I
that
could
runs
get
onto
cited.
your neighbor's, or a pipe?
It's a gutter or it's a driveway?
It's a gutter.
Or even if your gutter just directs to the.
already a code violation without this.
No, but
We could always say if David Barnes' property does it, he's exempt.
What's your address? What's your address again?
Better get it fixed quickly.
But even if you just have a gutter that daylights this way and your neighbor's house is this way, you're in violation. There's nothing you can do. You have to redo your gutters.
Usually there's a swale between your house and your neighbor's house.
But what if
that-
it goes into the swale, it's a 100-year storm, it goes over that swale? You didn't, but that's the same thing, it doesn't say that. It says there, no water, no runoff, right?
It says you can construct it in a way that there's runoff.
So then,
I think no is a bit such that I think if you just said something that says such that runoff does not adversely affect an adjoining property.
So you can make a recommendation, and you can make a recommendation to vote, to say no, but with a recommendation to change the language to something that would be, or you could say yes, but if you change the language to say something like, your recommendation can be yes or no with a recommended change to the language.
Maybe this is understood, but not just adversely, but adversely as determined by town staff. So basically indicates that town staff is the determinant, which I think
If
might
it
be understood anyway.
violates this, and we can determine that it's coming directly due to what this situation.
So like I'm thinking of David here, I think there's a number of downspouts that go across the sidewalks. So the town can at least determine, yes.
And the sidewalk is town property, so this doesn't apply to your downspout that's draining across the town, like the sidewalk.
Well, what happens to all those houses in, there are many townhouses in the new downtown whose front doors are basically on the sidewalk. I mean, don't those, I didn't really notice where
There's a lot of French drains. Their French drains are put in there.
Yeah, and then there's drains under the sidewalk. So the intent is that they come down, they flow to a spot that then connects under the sidewalk to the storm drainage.
Our neighbor had.
Or to the right of way and it daylights, it depends.
Yeah, our neighbor 15 years ago had the problem with the sidewalk, the water going across, and the town made them come in and put a French drain in across to resolve it. So, because it got icy, because it was slippery. The kids walk, it was bad, it was not good, so.
it also doesn't say all new gutters constructed, it just says all gutters. So that means anything that's already constructed is under there. So that means anything that is existing, if it doesn't drain properly, you're in violation. So it's not saying anything new,
That's correct.
all existing properties. If they're not correct, no matter when you bought the house or in what condition it was, you're now not in compliance then?
But I can see there's people that have these water problems, and because it's their neighbor that's draining onto their property, they can't even fix their drainage problem because it's not, they can't, like, unless they're like hooking to their neighbor's pipe and then like putting their pipe to the front yard, but then why should they have to pay to do that?
I just remember my hydrology classes, and the thing is, no matter what, you're gonna push water. If it goes subsurface, you're gonna push it somewhere else. So if it goes subsurface, it goes into the proper drainage, or before it gets there, it's absorbed into the ground, you can do a dye test and you'll see that still going onto your neighbor's property, even though it's facing towards that direction.
Oh,
If it
but
goes underneath your swale, you're still then going to do it.
But the issue is, if it's underground, it's probably, it could be, but it's probably not adversely affecting your neighbor's property.
Yes, because that's why you have to waterproof your foundation. And then if you get the hydrostatic pressure too much, it's going to go through your wall.
So
It's going to destroy it either way.
So would we be happy with adversely affected instead of no
Yeah.
runoff?
But
Yeah,
then,
and
Just for the
proper-
sake of reaching a conclusion?
If you want another can of worms, I could read what's being repealed by section 1. Because it's not, no, just skip it.
We don't need more cans.
So
No worms.
you or someone in the town's gonna have to handle this. Is this gonna make the town's lives easier and solve problems,
Yeah, that's.
the way it's worded?
I mean, this was the proposed language of the Public Works Department and vetted by the attorney and other folks. So I assume the answer is yes.
Okay. And then if it
And
doesn't,
they will be at the council hearing where they're not here this evening.
okay, I'm good. Thanks.
So are we back to the original?
No, I still think we put adverse instead of no. Because I don't think, we don't want I don't want my neighbors having to go, everyone doing this because someone reads it as literally as Michael was, and I think he's right. If they read it, they could come in and do anything. I think using the word adverse, it
Okay.
makes, that bar's higher to prove something that, you know.
Okay, no, I'm good with that. I'm just trying to figure out what the sense of
This
the
is
commission
this is the no that you want to change, correct?
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Okay. So you could just,
We'll recommend acceptance with a change from no runoff to runoff to no adverse effect is allowed upon. From no runoff is allowed to no adverse effect upon an adjoining.
So runoff changed to adverse.
or that no runoff is allowed to flow upon an adjoining property causing adverse effects.
there we go. That's
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, Michael,
so
sounds like you could do that.
so you would add causing adverse effects after this, after property right here.
So I have a question, sort of tangential, but are there similar requirements, code requirements for irrigation?
Oh, why'd you have to say that?
There,
It's true though, because that's, you're gonna flow. Yeah.
That's a good runoff.
Well, but the thing about irrigation is you control it.
But you don't control your neighbor's
You
irrigation.
can turn it off though, but I mean, if your neighbor's up doing something, oh, I see.
so this does not, it doesn't talk about your neighbor watering, like excessively watering. But if your neighbor's excessive watering causes that their, some pump to run and discharge or some other thing.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
something that falls in here, like, yes, but like,
Okay.
it doesn't directly address
Okay.
If you
landscape
call it-
Right, thanks.
irrigation.
But if you called code enforcement on me and then the next day just faced my sprinklers at your house? It's the Long Island in me.
Why would we not include irrigation in that as a, why would you not? Because that seems so,
Because you hit a sprinkler and it then starts, I mean, have you ever tried like maintaining sprinklers? I haven't. My husband tries, but they go crazy every year. Every year, something bad happens.
Yes, we pretty much have all our sprinklers either refitted or at least readjusted at the beginning of each summer. And they're only plastic and they break.
so does it, again, make your life easier or not easier by adding irrigation?
I think that the reason it's written this way is because we have like more control over gutters, pipes, and some
Let someone
versus,
bring it, you bring it
Yeah.
back to us and say, we need to add irrigation, right? I mean, I think-
yeah, I mean, maybe that will happen. It's very possible.
We're trying to pass this to make the town's life easier.
The idea is to hopefully be able to address some of the concerns that calls come in about. It won't fix all of them by any means, but it hopefully allows us some ability to address some of the concerns that we get.
Yep, I get it. Like, we had this problem in we built our house, in a 33, we had this problem with 15 homes and had to go back to Boulder Creek to fix it. So yeah, it was a big deal.
And in your situation, there's a lot of conversations about Toll Brothers and who's responsible for what in the Metro District versus Toll Brothers, et cetera. You can call me.
Okay.
Somebody from Toll Brothers told me as recently as yesterday, I'm not going to go into the problems the house has, but they said the town approved our plans. Talk to them.
Okay. Then come talk to us.
Sounds like a class action. Okay.
Do we have any more comments on EV charging or property drainage and stormwater? Hearing none. We don't have a resolution for this. We just have to make do we need two recommendations or will one do, Bria?
No, do two separate.
Do two, okay. So for the first one, I'm just going to say it out loud and then, so I'll propose it. And then if you like it, you can second it. And then we'll do we need to vote on it? Okay, so the Planning Commission recommends that Town Council adopt amendments to the town's municipal code, chapters 11 and 16, covering EV charging. Does that work?
Are you making the motion to?
Just say, if you are making a motion, just say, I move to.
Oh, okay. In that case, I move to say all the things I just said.
I'll second the motion.
All right, Chairman Harper,
Yes.
Commissioner Vaughn,
Yes.
Commissioner Witt,
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
Commissioner Mojo,
Are you sure, Mike?
Yes.
Commissioner Gross.
You wouldn't want to suddenly become too cooperative.
I know, yeah.
Okay.
Not me.
Fair enough. Then the second
Commissioner
one
Shanahan.
is,
Yes.
the second one is a little, it's very similar. It says, recommend Town Council adopt amendment to the town's municipal code, chapters 11 and 6, covering revisions to property drainage and stormwater, as recommended, subject to the addition that after an adjoining property, no adverse impact.
Are you making a motion?
I moved, you didn't move at the beginning.
I didn't move?
No.
Sorry, it's getting late. Okay. Steve moved it. I'll second it.
Okay.
I moved it.
Chairman Harper,
Yes.
The fumble.
Commissioner Vaughn,
Yes.
Commissioner Witt,
Yes.
Commissioner Barnes,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
I'm going to say no, just so it's not 100%.
Commissioner Mojo,
Yes.
or Vice Chair Mojo, I guess it would be. Sorry. Commissioner Gross,
No.
Commissioner Shanahan,
Yes.
Okay. Do we have to count those? I mean,
I'm sorry, do you want me to tell you which one, how that turned out?
no, okay.
I'm happy to.
Passed, okay.
They passed.
Fine. Are there any updates? Sorry.
that's
But
okay.
you put it on the agenda.
I did put it on the agenda. It's always on the agenda and.
The 2-hour agenda.
Yeah, yes. No,
Food court?
the food hall is supposed to be resubmitted by the end of this week. Hopefully. What else is there? Stay tuned. Oh, meeting on the 17th. So 2/17, you'll have a planning commission meeting to review another land use code amendment for exterior lighting.
Ah,
So that will be exciting. Coming to you on Tuesday, February 17th.
okay, that's good to know.
And let me know if you can't make that meeting.
What about the affordable housing, the senior housing, excuse me, they were gonna get financing, they were gonna.
Kite route.
Yes, so their financing has all been awarded, and we are bringing the agreements to council on next Monday, and they hope to close on the property after that. And they have a tentative groundbreaking scheduled for March 4th.
Wow.
Good.
That's really great.
So we'll see, but that's the tentative schedule at the moment.
That's great.
Anything else?
I can't think of anything else. I'm like a deer in headlights.
Yeah, the 17th. Nothing, they can't wait till the 17th.
We're adjourned.
It's the best thing you said all night.